right there.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We just need to wait until you scream, and then
Let's see.
we'll
I
adjust.
think we're just
Alright,
going.
I think it's gonna be in
Yeah.
February. I
You
thought
guys are
January,
both
but
bald.
I think I might do it in February. How do I go to?
I don't even got the right
Oh yeah.
game on.
Oh, if you guys wanna customize your characters, if you go to spacebar, go to D, and then on the top of this thing, hit the arrow keys. It will say
Arrow key?
customize character.
Oh.
Yeah, and you
Hello.
can customize it.
I'm bald.
Yeah, you're bald right now.
Yes.
Both of you guys are bald.
Oh,
So
my
like
God.
you can customize. Yeah.
How much money I got? I got no dollars.
Well, I mean, it might be January. I'm just waiting on a couple more things to get done. And they're almost done, so maybe I get to do it sooner. They're almost done. Oh, gee. I don't know, you know? I get scared.
There we go. Yeah, we're live again for the
Yeah, I
Third
should
time
show you some
today.
of the things, LT. You're gonna be so like in awe. We should.
Hi,
we
Sugui.
should
Hi,
get an
LT.
Thank you
holiday,
for
and I can-
joining. And thank you
Yeah,
for
I'm live
following. Nice to
again.
meet you. Yeah, we're live again from
We
last
played
night.
Repo, and then I left to go get lunch, and by that I mean something in the microwave.
Thank you for
and now we're doing
introducing.
this.
I am barefooted. Yes.
I'm gonna be live again in
Let's
5
go.
hours.
You're
It's
not
very
gonna
rude.
get it.
It's very rude to walk into a house with shoes on, you know. So, alright.
That's
You're
true.
right. What am I thinking? What am I even doing with myself?
Okay. My noodles.
Wait,
are
something
cool,
went wrong
though.
with my collab, but what?
Ah, nice. You're eating
Oh.
soba noodles.
No, I'm eating one of those like healthy, quote unquote. Oh shoot.
Sakura, get in here.
That's right.
One of those
Okay,
healthy,
fine.
quote unquote, microwavable meals.
Mm.
I don't even know what it is.
Careful, too.
Well, active streamer because it's Halloween.
Hey Jan, what tools do you think we need? Should I add some more stuff in here? Let's see, we have.
You should
Alright,
should
so this
join
is
share
good.
chat, and then
Kitty?
I already got the tools, so we're good.
I have 3 of you.
That's so fat.
I think yeah, we
Should
have
I put anything
4.
else in here?
Maybe
No?
EFG.
I'm spamming E.
Hello? I
Oh, hello.
I
Hi,
forgot.
Fan.
I forgot to talk.
Need to learn the
I was like, you should join share chat, and then the tools were good.
Oh. Okay.
Unless you want to add an EMF and an ESG. I just woke
I
up
can
again.
do that.
Mm.
And then,
What are the
think those are good, yeah.
controls? What are the controls?
WASD, E to grab stuff.
Whoa, spoiler.
When I can grab the cat? Where's the
Well, usually the stuff. I don't remember if it's G. We'll figure it out when we load in.
Okay, I just joined the.
Wait,
chat.
did my thing not change? I'm not playing by sis. Welcome into ya.
Oh my god, it's the cat. It's so fat.
Such a fat
It's
cat.
so
Yeah.
big.
The
Don't
longer you stay in the lobby, the fatter the cat gets.
No
So you
way.
said.
That's why I
EMF,
started it.
And what else?
I'm spamming E. Why don't you love me yet?
I know I realized that when I started the stream, and then I didn't change the name.
Oh my god, you're fucking huge.
Look at
What
this
else did you say to
chonker.
add, Dan?
Your big chunk is.
I put
ESG?
an EMF.
Do you have a
ESG.
crucifix? Maybe a
let
sanity
me-
pill?
I should stop talking like that, or my cat's gonna wake up from her nap and get all up in my space.
ESG.
Thank you for the 5 million stream streak ulti. And congrats on getting first. Next, I didn't see that, but I didn't need to change it.
He is. He's big chunker boy. Or girl. We don't
Yeah, I don't know if
I did it.
Norm
I did-
is
I
able to
did just a
join since
couple
he's
of them.
TikToking. Yep.
Oh,
Sounds good,
TikTok
sounds
must be
good.
laggy, so I'm only on Twitch.
Wait, you're live on Twitch?
Yeah, I'm live right now, bro.
What?
Right
This is-
now. What are you talking about?
This
She
is
gave us her
crazy.
Twitch and everything.
There you go.
She
She's
twitching.
twitching.
Well, here's
twitching
the
too.
multi-twitch thingy. To see all of our
Yeah, I
perspectives
tried
when one of us
multi-twitch,
gets
but I
scared.
don't know. Is it working? Is the multi-twitch working?
Cool. Coming.
If you
soon.
click on it, all 4 of our tabs will show up on the screen.
What? I thought I updated it.
What?
And Lorm is still playing Repo.
No, I am not. I didn't hit done. This is like my second time streaming on Twitch. Don't yell at me.
It's okay.
Yeah, don't
Did you
yell
want
at
to
her.
join the share chat?
Did I fix it? I can't join the share chat.
Both of you guys
That
are
is
already?
okay. You don't have to.
Oh, okay. so
Okay,
the
thank
game-
you. Thank you so much. You're
No,
so
this is
sweet. I
not
love
share
you.
chat. This is the. This is just like a bunch of tabs where you can see all of our stuff easier.
Yeah, what happened is I had to change my phone number for personal reasons, and then the phone number that I have was already associated with the Twitch account, so I had to go in and delete that, and now I can't
Oh,
add that number for like 30 days, I think it said. So
that's okay.
I'm very sad about it.
No.
Wait, is this you?
Why up on my face, bro?
Because you didn't change your model. You're still the regular default dude.
I don't got no money.
No, you can still change over here, and if you click
Why
on
did you
it,
take me back here?
yeah, if you press E on it, and then click right on the top right, and then go to customize character, you can customize
There you go.
in
I
there.
don't know why the game audio was.
Yeah, I
transferable.
got no
Yeah, it's
money. How
Interesting,
can I customize myself? I got no money.
It should still be able to wait, like the head. Oh wait, no, wait.
Yeah, the heads
Where's
and
the
stuff.
where's the customized character? Go to customized character.
Nito, welcome
coming for your
in.
pickle.
Thank you for the
And then you
pickle.
can customize it.
Are you ready for Sunday?
Oh, I'm just
Yeah.
Are you excited?
Yeah.
It's time
I wanna be
to be
a
the
little
Elden
girl. I wanna
Lord.
be a silly little girl.
Because there's 3 of us. Look at this
Oh,
chonker.
Look at all these different bra options.
So
How you
many
doing,
bras to
Ian?
choose from.
Why does it matter what color my bra is? Why does it
I
matter
don't-
what kind of underwear I have?
The demon wants to know.
Well, Jan's only in his underwear, so I assume we could be too if that was the case.
Yeah,
Hey, yo.
I mean, I'm in shorts.
Turn from Jenny, happy Halloween. Oh, happy Halloween. Thank you for being
Prepping pizza?
Short, short.
What kind of pizza you having?
What's up?
I like how it's like, here, you want an option for hair? And there is none. There is no hair.
Just
There is an option. What do you mean?
There should be.
I
Do you
didn't
hear
see
the
any.
sounds?
It just
It
said
should-
none. Head,
Oh,
none.
it should be.
No,
it
there's a
should be,
scroll wheel. You do the scroll
appearance.
wheel.
Yeah, there's a scroll wheel.
4K?
Wait, I lost my head.
Yeah,
Where did it go?
When you customize channel, you go to appearance, and then the hair, you can hit the little scroll
Mushroom
wheel.
ham salami. That sounds so good.
Yeah.
You gonna share a pic when it's
yeah.
done?
We're learning.
No, I'm not in my underwear, Z. It's the Jan.
The what? That's not me.
It is. Look at you.
I can't emote in this game. I'm just gonna stand here.
I'm just gonna stand here.
Dotto, there you go.
When we're ready, let me know.
There.
Because we have to ready up in the main screen over here.
I gotta turn up the brightness. I
Alright,
can't
there
see
you go.
poopies.
No, that's part of the game. You're not
Oh, I
supposed
did
to
that
see.
too.
What? Y'all are cheating.
Okay, video window mode, resolution.
Yeah.
You're
It is
cheating.
scandalous. So scandalous.
Where is it?
You can't turn it up. But I disabled it for you.
Gameplay?
Wait, what? What did I
How
miss?
can I make it brighter?
You
If
can't.
go
I disabled
to-
it. You can't turn it up. Yep, that's part of the game.
I have bad astigmatism. I can't see.
Fine, me too. You're not supposed to see.
If you go to gamma correction in video, all
It's
the
just
way down,
frozen one with extra toppings. I mean, that still sounds good.
Turn it all the way down.
Some frozen
turn it
pizzas
all the way up.
are
Go
good,
to,
and they're like
2.5.
$5 instead of like
oh my
a
God,
regular
that's so
20.
much better.
Optimized for people with-
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh my gosh.
You're welcome.
We're married now.
Hooray!
Wait a minute.
I've always wanted to be in a committed relationship.
Hell yeah. Hey, yeah, we both got pink hair. Let's go.
Julia, thank you for the hit pants.
Let's go!
No!
Come for your
Not my
pickle.
pickle. Don't come for the pickle, guys. Have I
Okay,
eaten?
When you guys are ready,
No.
hit spacebar and then go on the bottom right and
As soon as my stream ended earlier, I took a nap and then I woke up 30 minutes ago.
Working, audio's working.
Thank you for the snack. Well, I don't feel hungry.
Oh, should we
So,
introduce
I'm chill.
ourselves to the people who don't know us?
Yes, please, introduction.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
You can go first because you're on my left side.
Yeah, do it, do it.
Hey, oh, okay. I'm never first. Hello. Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Lormel. I'm a cat girl VTuber. I'm kind of just here. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm really scared. I'm
That's okay.
currently live on Twitch underneath It's Lormel, but I'm normally live on TikTok underneath It's Lormel VT. But you should come hang out with me sometime, so I'm not scared.
Yeah.
Oh,
That was the end of mine.
What is
turn.
up? My name is Bung Sai. Feel free to call me Sai. I am an isekai victim with a duck on my shoulder.
Oh.
Ignore the duck. He's actually the former demon lord ducky of the northern continent. He looks cute, but he's actually not. All right.
Oh.
And yeah,
Oh.
that's mine.
Nice.
I'm both on Twitch, YouTube, and multi-streaming.
Oh, dang!
Nice.
Multi-streaming.
Yeah.
I need a
You don't gotta
multi-stream.
upload the
Oh my
VOD
goodness.
anymore, it's just there.
Yeah.
It's just there. Okay. My name is Starlight Sakura. I am a star from the galaxy. I am actually the princess of the Starlight race. And my whole people are enslaved now, so they brought me down to Earth so I could save them later, maybe while they're, having a bad time up there. But yes, I am a variety streamer. I stream only on Twitch right now. I think multi-streaming's fun. I should try that. And I play scary games with my friends most of the time because that's all they want to play with me for some reason. But
Yeah.
That's so
And she just debuted her new model that's coming out soon.
I did. My new
Boy,
model-
You
congrats.
did?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's on her Twitter, I think.
It is on
Yeah.
Twitter. Yeah.
Alright.
It's gonna be coming out January or February. Still debating.
One of those dates.
I have an official model coming out too. I just don't know when she's gonna be done. I just got the message the other day that she is getting rigged, so I'm beyond hype.
Ooh.
I'm just using a pre-made right now, so but still I'm so excited.
I mean, pre-mades aren't too bad. You guys are both pre-mades.
Oh no. I didn't pay anything for this pre-made. It was given to me.
Oh, nice.
See? Oh, there you go.
That's even better. Even
Exactly.
better.
And I customized her, so she's all cutesy.
Back lunchtime. Okay, no worries.
Woo!
And no more
I'm
lagging
not
for you.
able to join this shared chat, Ulti. I told you this. You never listen to me.
She can't share the chat.
Oh, shoot. Let me see if I can.
No, it's not. It's because of the phone number thing. I can't join because of the phone number thing.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Alright.
Okay, we ready?
And when we're ready, go to this clipboard and then hit the
And
readies.
ready at.
Oh wait, but we also need to pick the map. There's a map on the left side
Oh.
over here.
Pick the most hardest one. Like level 15.
Oh no.
I think the first house is fine. Because
Which
that's
one's
also
the
pretty
first?
hard. It's the abandoned house.
Oh.
Not the farmhouse.
That one is that. What do you mean? The farmhouse is easy.
I heard the haunted school is easy too.
No,
I don't know what to do in that one. Well, so we're gonna start with the first one.
That's what I've been told. I've been told that it's the easiest one or the funeral home. Yeah.
Oh. Oh, are we already? She stopped
Yeah,
talking.
yeah, I read.
Hello?
Ready?
Did she lose connection?
Oh, fudge.
Oh no.
I
no.
I realize I should probably let my people know that I'm live right now.
Oh.
I should probably let my people.
My god, look at that cat. It's getting bigger.
It's gonna explode.
Okay.
He's
What do I
Stop
need to
bigger
do?
than the chair. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm already ready.
All right,
ready.
I'm starting it up,
I'm ready,
guys.
broski. I'm down.
Kind of realistic carrot cake and ate it in front of my pet parrot.
Munching
Now
now.
he's afraid that he's next.
Oh, cool! I got
All
an
right.
achievement.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, yeah, same here.
All right.
Woo!
So this thing at the top right here's the flashlight.
Have you guys played Phasmo before?
Like,
Yeah,
Yes.
I love Phasma.
Okay, this is like that, but different.
okay.
So there's
So
stuff
I-
here you can
That's
grab.
like that, but different.
I'm just gonna cower in the corner then. Got it.
Yep.
I'm changing the song real quick. There we go.
What I'm hearing.
So the
the
flashlight's
flashlight?
right there next to the crucifix.
Flashlights are these
That's
little
the
handy
that's the
type
UV
things.
light.
Oh, what am I holding then?
The UV light.
That's,
I didn't realize my mic was muted. I've been talking to myself.
Dan likes to talk to himself a lot.
No,
Is
not
this
really. No, I
a
don't.
defibrillator? Is that how you pronounce it?
That
Brings
is
someone
a
back to life?
ESG reaction. Basically, it's like the dots projection. Like you put it down.
Yeah.
If you put it down with look down on the ground and hold G, and then you can use scroll wheel to spin the items.
Wait.
Why is my
Oh, I was gonna say, why is this 98 for
What?
you?
Hello.
They're already scared.
Yes.
Is it working?
Maybe that was a mistake.
Ooh, you know what you should grab? You should grab the EKG.
Look down and
It's
hold
right
G.
here.
I
That's
put
the
my
beep beep
control. I
thing.
plugged in my controller.
Okay, well then I have no idea how to help you.
Cool. I'm gonna unplug this.
Should I grab,
Wait, hold on. You can still play.
grab the
No, I know. I know.
Never mind, I don't have my
I'm a
controller's Steam
control
input.
girly.
Oh, there's a roach on this thing. What the heck?
Yeah, so that's the
Yeah,
EMF.
it powers it.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
Are you just trying to find opportunities to talk to me? That's scandalous.
All right, and here's the looking glass. You will see ghost stains in the walls if we find like the ghost room with this thing.
Oh,
And then some of the quests here. This is like the board over here.
okay.
So
Hi, Derek.
his
Why is he
name
naked?
is
Let
yeah. You
him
can
be
press
free,
E on it.
okay?
You can press E on it
Let him
so
be
you
free.
don't see everybody. His name is Siran Odling. And it'll respond to people next to you, so it should be fine for us to stack up and talk to him.
Yay! Let's talk to him.
All
Can
right,
you help me fix my credit score?
we can ask. Do you want to get your flashlight over here? Step over there.
I got medicine. Let's get drunk.
That's for later. Where'd the other medicine go?
All right.
What's the flashlight? Which
Oh,
one
right
is
there,
the
right there,
flashlight?
to the bottom right
You-
of the
you're-
crucifix.
You're going in.
This thing?
Yeah,
Oh, that thing.
Yeah, that thing.
I figured
Oh.
my gun.
Why can I grab you? There we go.
Oh, there you
Oh
go.
yeah, of course. The gun.
All right,
Do I need to grab it? Can I grab more than one item?
you should have
Oh, wait.
3 things like in Phasmo. So you can get the
Cool.
thermometer
I
too.
love Phasmo. Which one of these is? over here?
The thermometer looking one.
Shut up.
And then, well, we don't really need anything else until we find the ghost room. Unless you want to grab the spirit box. Right here.
What?
That thing.
Oh, you're so tiny. That's what she said.
okay.
Okay, leaving.
Alright, Tom, no, I already forgot his name. I think to open the journal is J, like in Phasmo.
Bye.
What does this one do again? This lantern?
That one shows the fingerprints.
Okay. All right.
Like
Yeah, so
the
if you
light
hear
one.
touching stuff,
Sensitivity is crazy.
you can check the stuff in the doors.
Let's just have all the lights on. All right.
Well, I usually like to have it off.
Generator.
Why is this in Celsius? I'm American.
It's okay. We'll figure it out.
What's happening?
All right, y'all want to go to the scary room?
Why is
Oh.
the music so loud? Why is the music so
Oh,
loud? Why is the music so
oh,
I wonder.
loud? Hi.
the TV's on. It's telling
Oh.
us something.
Turn it off.
Did it find my
Turn it
dad?
off.
Oh,
There's a bunch
you
of
hear that?
boxes.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a bust. Hello.
The fuck was that?
Mwah.
There's
Here, let's
a
go this
box
way. Where'd she go?
Upstairs.
You have
We went
EMF?
that way.
Scary.
Yeah, it's not scary.
Oh, wait. I got EMF.
What?
Wait, somewhere. Is it here?
We can check upstairs. There's an upstairs one.
Oh, goodness. It's 5. Wait, it turned to 5 for a second. Wait, where is
Okay,
it
so it's
coming from?
here. If it's 5, we're right next to it then. Soccer, you're the one with the EMF reader. I don't know.
Is it
but-
down this way?
Are we all going? Okay.
Yeah, stay as a group. We gotta find the
Here,
room
gang,
together.
let's go.
Actually, I shouldn't be thinking. Alright, this is how.
Oh my
horror
goodness.
in horror
What's wrong?
movies, the person behind dies.
Is that a summoning circle? Let's go.
Yeah, that's for later. Once we find the ghost, we can actually exorcise it and then like kill it.
But
If
what
we
I
do
wanna
the
be its
objectives.
friend?
Well, we can do that after
Look at
it's
this drawing. Look at this
exercised.
cute little drawing, guys.
Where's the light switch for this room?
That is actually pretty cute.
There's supposed to be a light switch here.
That looks like a kid did it. It's
Who is
so
at the top?
adorable.
Let me check. I don't think so. Did you close the door behind you?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, well, I don't see it here. I could have swore there was a light switch down here.
Perfect.
Is it this thing? Is this a? No, this is a
If
circuit
we can't
breaker.
click on it, then I don't think so. I guess there's not. I guess they updated it. Alright, let's go back upstairs.
Who decorated this?
Oh,
place?
look at all these statues. How much money you got, bro?
He's rich.
Hey,
Or just really talented?
Yeah. Alright, where's the EMF soccer? Is it this hallway or is it the upstairs one? There is a second floor.
Might be upstairs. Let's check upstairs because when I looked up, it was beeping.
I don't like them.
I need
It's
to update
fine.
my mouse sensitivity. This is
There you go.
bonkers.
Lights.
Yeah,
I'll do that right
Yeah,
now.
you can do that now.
Nothing bad's
Lights.
gonna happen.
Like, you gonna
Lights.
break the light stuff?
Um,
Oh, where is it?
This is perfect for me.
I mean, it could be in that hallway downstairs. Oh,
What?
Five.
up here?
Here.
Okay, so it's in this room. What's
But I
that
don't
noise?
know.
It's 5 here. Yeah, we'll stay here. Alright, let's grab the stuff. Let's get out of here.
I think it's this hallway.
Yeah, let's grab the rest of the stuff.
It's
Oh.
5.
Yeah, you can drop it
oh,
now.
It's worse.
This chair?
It's worse.
You can drop that and we can get the stuff.
I'm gonna die.
Alright, we're gonna head back to the van.
Closet. One will find.
Oh my god, that's so much better. That mouse sensitivity is driving
Is
me
your light on?
bonkers.
In the closet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn the light off real quick.
They'll find you.
No. No. No.
Okay.
Why?
Alright,
We're at 5 Celsius.
Alright, let's head back to the van
Okay.
and then grab the crucifix.
Yeah, is that
What horror
is
movie
that
do I want to
freezing
be
you?
a part of? Whichever
Alright,
one gets me killed the fastest.
I didn't realize I was muted this whole time. I was gonna say let's head back to the van to grab the stuff, since we know where the ghost room is.
Okay.
So it's this hallway.
Yeah, it looks like it since it's EMF 5.
Or. Yeah, the roach is going crazy.
Should grab like 2 crucifix. Oh, and the paintings. We need them to paint. And then also let's check our sanity. See, what's throwing a bunch of stuff. Wow. Okay. ESG studios.
That was enough. That was fun. That was fun. I appreciate the game. The collab was fun. Alright.
Alright, so I don't see anything in the camera. Can you grab the other painting and can you grab both paintings? Actually, grab the crucifix.
Okay.
You can drop that, Sakura. We have the evidence for EMF 5 already. If you press J, you can open up your journal.
I am too old for this, yes.
Alright, and then do you have room for a candle?
I do, yeah.
Okay, and let's head back.
Should I turn on the candle? Light it up?
Yeah, I mean the candle is infinite
Oh, cool. Oh,
until the ghost blows it out.
oh, well, that's not fun.
Yeah, but having the ghost blow it out will narrow it down, so that'll help.
Did we leave her?
Yeah, she
left
was-
Mel.
She was still there. I opened the camera and then I just saw her. I mean, we did say we were leaving. You were the one who decided to stay.
That's so rude.
I just
Yeah,
left
it's only-
because
it's
we
only
started-
going down
the
to
ghost started
5.
singing.
Going
It's
down
only
to
been
5.
going down to 5. We've been
Okay, that's
hanging out,
fine.
having a pretty good conversation.
Got a candle.
All right, now we ask it.
Ghost.
Who has the
That's actually a really cute canvas. I kind of want it.
The light? I
I was
got
about
it.
to say it'd be
Right here.
nice if it was this
Ah.
way. What's that noise?
What
Who's
was that?
who's
Stop it.
scratching the things here? Who has the spirit box?
Me.
I don't.
Oh yeah, you can talk to it. Have you been talking to him?
Is it on? No.
Hold left click until it goes to. That's not spirit
Oh.
box. That's just him
Hello?
talking.
Jeez. Ah.
Hello?
All right, so you can
Oh,
see an
What's
X
going on?
on
Why
your
am I
spirit
tripping?
box.
Why am
Oh,
I
that
Oh,
means
dude, I
the
do
ghost
recommend
is
my
targeting you. Don't worry about it.
Why? All right. Well, I'm gonna be outside if you guys.
No,
need
no, no.
me.
You have to stay in here with us.
Hello?
That just means he likes you. Oh,
Top things you should be
How you
buying at
doing?
Costco.
yeah. If it talks, the little ghost symbol will like light up
There's a ghost symbol. Where's the ghost symbol?
for the spirit box.
Aim.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we're just chilling
Wait,
here.
you should come
Welcome.
here. You should come here.
Oh,
I
being
should.
here.
I want to show you something. Come here. Come here.
I feel this. I don't think this is. I don't
Come
think.
on. It's great.
Yeah.
There you go.
This
Wait,
way. This
where
way.
Is it? Wait. Oh, wait.
What?
That's not it. Is this way?
No. Which one are you talking
I
about?
think
Because
it's
there's one all the
I
way
think it's
down there.
outside. I think it's outside.
No, it's not outside. Wait.
No,
I gotta
I'm-
find it.
Sakura, that's
Wait,
outside.
that's not
You're
it
going the
either.
wrong way.
I'm going the wrong way. This way.
No,
this
that
way,
is
this
the right way. That
No,
that
it's
is
this
the
way,
right
this way.
Wait, come back,
You're
come back.
supposed
Wait,
to
Mel, come
leave.
down here.
You're supposed
Mel,
to
join us.
leave.
It's here. It's here. It's here.
It didn't
Don't- don't-
listen. And
That's
I closed
okay.
the door and it
Okay,
didn't like that.
What does this say?
That's okay.
Can you
We're gonna
read
do
that?
something here.
Look
Do
at all
you
these.
want to play question mark with me?
Maybe
Just-
without the question.
Yeah, just say, just ask it the question.
Do you want to play with me? With me?
With me.
Do you want to play with
You
me?
want?
Do you want to play with me? Is that what I'm trying to say?
Okay, it's not working. All right, let's
Yeah.
go to
He
this
doesn't
room
wanna
instead.
Oh,
He doesn't
good.
want to play with you.
Good.
You can
Good.
play with the
Let's
one
go
over
to
here.
play.
Good.
I
Get
didn't
out
give
of here.
consent anyway.
All right, wait over here on this side.
Oh,
Ah! What the fuck is
What
that?
happened?
okay.
What did I miss?
Oh, what's
Turned,
that?
and turned into a lady.
Did she say something?
I saw something creepy.
She went roar, though my game lagged, so
Roar.
it wasn't really scary.
Perfect.
I was just like,
Oh,
okay.
this is a moon.
Oh, right here, look.
Cute dress. I want this. I want to wear this.
Right here, look at this door. Can you read
Can I
that?
have your dress?
Yeah, can you read what that says?
No.
No, over
Victoria?
here on this side.
Oh, bones.
Oh,
Oh,
you missed it. Turned around. Thank you for the taco. There should be more things here that you can
Oh,
read out.
there's more right here. Yeah, if you say this,
Yeah.
whatever, that
Whatever the painting
Anger?
says.
right there on the painting's head.
Yeah.
anger.
Anger.
She can't because the. Yeah.
Anger.
But she doesn't like me.
Anger?
She doesn't like Asian people. That's what it is. I get you. I understand.
I think
Gotcha.
one
I
of
guess
one of
not.
you guys have to say.
I've come for your pickle.
Oh, she got anger.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for the pickle tea. And good morning, Neo.
Dream
Dream.
is the wish your heart makes.
Oh, what does this wall say?
What does it
What-
say?
Ayo. What song is this?
Cal on down? What does that mean?
It's supposed to say calm down.
Oh, calm down. Callie down.
Calm down.
Yeah, you should try being alone in the
What
room
if
and
I
saying
don't
it.
wanna be
Calm
calm?
down.
Wait, where did
Chill
I...
out.
You're-
I think Ulti's streaming right now.
Here, you say it by yourself in there. Get in there.
What? What?
I'll be out here. I'll be right here. Just say it.
Calm down.
You'll be fine.
Someone
Calm
taught me
down.
this, and I-
Calm down.
Calm down.
Calm down. Calm
Oh, I
down.
guess this isn't working.
Calm down.
All right. I guess you can just leave.
Hi.
Ah! No! No! What? No! No! Open the door! No! Stop! Stop! Let me out! Stop!
The
What is
door's
this?
locked. I can't help you.
Let me out! Let me out! Why is the door janky?
Guys,
Stop!
the
Stop it!
door's
Stop!
stuck.
I'm not turning around. I am not turning
I
around.
look, the door's
Stop.
stuck.
No,
You have to turn
open
around
the
or close
door.
on him. I can't do
Someone
anything.
open the door.
We
Open
can.
up.
I'm pressing E on
Open
it.
just-
You have to turn around. You have to calm down.
I'm not
Have to
turning
calm
around.
down.
Open
You
the
have to
door.
calm
Lady
down.
yelled in my face, though I didn't
Someone
see her.
open
It's about to go down.
That's okay.
It's about to go down.
Yo, did you turn around?
No, I refuse to turn around.
You have to. Nothing's there.
And we can't let you out.
Yeah.
I turn around.
Okay.
There's nothing here.
No, I mean, turn around and look at the back of the door. What does the door say?
My name is.
Who is that?
This is my name is. What is this?
Yeah, the picture.
Shade.
Yep.
Yeah, it says
Yep.
my name is.
No, who's that lady? We called her name earlier.
Oh, anger?
Her name is Anger.
Yeah, there you go. Welcome.
Oh, thank God. Jesus Christ. Damn.
Oh, you did it. See, you just
Yeah,
had
I'm
to
out.
calm down. Alright, let's actually go to the ghost room. I mean, there's more stuff in the other room, but I think we'll
don't
be
like
fine. I
this.
just go there.
I don't like this at all.
It's just the
Oh yeah,
first
I
one.
was in here
Hello.
and a lady yelled in my ear.
Oh, did you say her name? Is that why?
No, I was just like,
Oh.
oh, that's an interesting.
Calm down.
And then I got yelled at.
That's okay. Maybe she just doesn't
think
like
she-
us.
My sarcasm.
Alright, let's go back to the ghost room and actually figure it out. We have one evidence, by the way, which is EMF 5.
Cool.
Where'd that star go?
She's probably over there
Uh-oh.
at the ghost room.
Yeah, she proudly walked off.
She's probably doing what we're supposed to be doing, which is figuring out what it is upstairs. So let's go back up there. Maybe they wrote on the book already.
Hello.
Oh, stuck.
Oh.
Did the temperature change? Oh, they did. Oh, wait, what?
Uh,
They drew on the picture, so
hello?
it's a painting. So
Oh,
easel drawing. Sakura, where are you?
I'm downstairs. What
You have the crucifix. Come here.
Oh,
The
okay.
crucifix on the floor.
We had
How are
two.
you marking evidence? Is that
If you press J, you open up your journal and then you click on the evidence tab.
Yay.
evidence?
So we have EMF 5 and easel
Easel
painting. Sakura, put
easel.
your crucifix over there by the that side by the painting.
By the-
Would spirit box response count or no?
It didn't respond.
Nice. Spirit box is only for when it speaks in the spirit box, which Mel has.
That's- Here,
Yeah,
just-
Sakura was in
Hello?
the basement. That was very sus. Wait, can I try the spirit box?
Yeah. I don't know how to give it
G?
to you. G.
All right. Hello, are you here?
I was.
Are you giggling at me?
Can you give us a sign?
Oh.
Do you
very
want us to
nice.
be here?
Love what you did with the place.
Can you speak? Are you French?
Not having a fun day.
Are you French?
Do you have the UV light? You want to check for you?
Okay.
You want to check for UV light?
I think it wants its personal space.
Yeah. Oh, right here. There's fingerprints right here. See, look. As soon as you pulled it out, we got it. All right. So let's get outside.
Aha, joke's on you. I have a GPS system on me.
Let's get outside. I think we're good. Come on.
Don't leave
Yeah,
me
just-
here. Don't leave me here. I'll go.
I mean- Mouse not moving.
Exit.
Are
I
you
was
single?
working it in my journal. My
I'm
dream
just gonna-
journal.
Your dream journal?
Out. Uh-oh.
Send him to the principal's office and have him
I'm just
expelled.
gonna go. Just gonna bounce. to
Yeah.
see.
So we
Get
can
outta here.
we're gonna go back to the tent, and I'll ask at Ulti again when we get back inside.
I
Alright,
think, you guys did a great
so-
job.
Well, that's part 1. So if you look here at the
My sanity is 18%. That makes sense.
oh yeah, we all need pills. Okay, let's take some pills.
Yeah, let's get mussed up.
Pills? Oh.
Wait, Sakura, you
Big
gonna put more
pharma.
pills?
No, I just added those two.
Okay, well then you don't have pill.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, right here, guys, on this first monitor. We have optional objectives after we're done. So after we
Right.
lock in the ghost, we can perform a ritual on the pentagram. We
To
can read the
kill it.
lost note, and then we have to take a solid photo of the ghost,
Okay.
which we don't have because we don't have a camera. So we're actually just gonna leave.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
I am happy with that.
Did you guys pick Ornyorn?
Yeah.
All right.
Is there a way I can
Yeah.
crouch? There crouch.
Control.
Yeah.
Yeah, control.
Okay, okay. I'm just gonna.
Sai, you're the only one who needs to lock in the ghost.
Oh, what do I got?
Yeah, so once you click on it, you click on the ghost on the left side, and then it'll ask to confirm.
On the journal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what are we selecting?
Well, we have fingerprints, easel, and the top one, so it's only one ghost.
Oh, already got it.
Do you have on? Oh, there you go, perfect. And now we're done. Now we leave. Guess we don't have the equipment to do the last parts.
Oh, okay.
Let's get out of here. Soccer, we're leaving.
How do we leave?
Okay.
We just go to this car and
Hi.
drive out of here.
Nice,
Alright, who wants to drive?
Nice.
Not me.
Alright, you're driving.
I'm too.
Back to the safe house. Are you sure? Confirm.
I had too many pills.
Alright, we did it.
Too many pills.
And then your score's over here. You see how much money and stuff you got.
You're so not fat right now.
Oh, my angel.
You're of average weight, healthy
cool.
weight right now.
Yeah,
I had to look
He's
back
about
at
to
my
start
cats
eating some
later, they're
lasagna.
not Like, oh, me?
You're of healthy weight. Congrats.
Actually, looks kind of thin.
Really?
Yeah, look from the side. It's all scrawny.
Oh.
Sakura, I don't have a photo camera or one more pill.
Hi, Mochi. Did you hear me talking? Did you think I was talking to you?
Alright, what'd y'all think of the first map? That wasn't too bad. Oh,
Hello, Mochi.
I didn't realize I was muted. I was asking how y'all think of the first map.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not as scared as I thought I would be.
See, you're fine. You're fast mode professional. We need one more sanity
Maybe
pill,
I just
Sakura, and a
can't be
photograph.
Scared. Have I become immune?
And
Hey, once you play enough, you can be. Y'all want to move to the next house?
Yeah.
Hold on, I want to change my pants.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just
Okay,
clicking
that
on it.
looks good.
Yeah, you still have to ready up. Yeah, that looks good.
Okay.
Yep. Looks good. 2 crucifix. We only need 1 UV light. 1 spirit box is fine. Alright, ready up in the main screen when you guys are ready.
Ready.
Ready,
All right.
The
girlfriend.
difficulty is like the
Ready, I'm ready.
hardest.
We
No.
will die as soon as we walk in.
No, please don't. It's so
not?
scary.
We'll walk in and we'll die. And if we die, I don't get my money back.
We should just go hard or go home. You know, this is level 20 max difficulty. Let's see what happens.
I don't want to see what
Are you
happens. I
held
want to
against your will,
live.
Sakura? Do I need to help you out?
Being held against
Oh.
my will.
Oh, yo, welcome in. How you doing? Happy Halloween. You got any plans today?
I got
Who's dressing up for
candle.
Halloween?
I am not, but if I could, I would be Princess Peach.
Ooh.
Oh, I was just saying how I wanted to be Busetti.
Oh
Doing good,
my
nice. Have you
God.
eaten? Oh, you gotta work tomorrow, no.
I mean, I'm wearing Halloween pajamas.
I mean, at least you have
Is that-
today off, maybe?
Yeah,
'Cause I got the day
think
off
it
today.
works. It's in the season.
Alright, guys, the name of the ghost is Claudia Andrews. And we can respond to us.
Claudia.
Who wants to grab the
I
spirit
had
box?
a friend named Claudia.
Yeah, I know.
wants to talk to
a
Claudia?
Claudia.
You don't know my friends. Oh.
I know a Claudia, not your Claudia.
What if you do, though? That would be kind of
That'd be kind of
That'd be
crazy.
crazy.
crazy. I was crazy.
I was
once.
crazy once. They turned me into a mouse.
A mouse.
They did.
Now I'm
You
a
don't-
walking, talking mouse. Who wants to grab the other EMF?
Oh yeah, that's right. That's your VTuber.
Had to work
I guess
today?
I-
No.
I'll just drop this.
This looks
So it's
like
probably
a
going to be
Halloween
pretty busy. Wait, what? Well, I hope it's not too bad tomorrow. I know you said it's busy, but I hope it isn't. What you been up to? You play any spooky games?
Oh, nice.
It's one of the most haunted houses in the United States.
Oh yes,
What-
that's why I would not.
What's
know.
haunted?
Yeah, they're the Sally House.
The Sally
That
House.
sounds horrible.
It is.
does sound horrible.
The demon's name is Sally and
Oh
presents
my
herself
goodness,
as a
the
little
vibe
girl.
change, the vibe change when you come in here.
You need lights, that's why. Got you.
If you turn on too many, it'll start breaking. So we need to not turn them all on. The ghost gotta pay electric bills, and he's not that rich.
Oh my god. Looks like it. Look at this.
What?
The house is ghost not rich. Look at this remodeling this house.
I mean,
There's
this is
no
through
way.
a basement through the wall.
Still though, look at this woodwork.
I don't see any ectoplasm. I found a liquid cat. She was
Oh,
here last
I'm
month.
not
Yeah, I've
reading
heard.
anything.
I hope y'all enjoyed your time.
I can't see
Did you finish the game? I still have yet to start Silent Hill F. Or the second Silent Hill.
Alright, I see a little figurine on the floor. Hopefully that means something.
There is
Oh,
one
right here,
over-
right here. Over here, guys. This way, this way, this way. Guys,
Where's this way?
over here.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
I found ectoplasm in the wall. Right
I
here.
realize
So the
what
ghost
your
room is
avatar
right
looks
here.
Like now. You look like baby no money.
Yeah. That's what I was going for. Here, if you want to grab my stuff right here. The
It's
ectoplasm
Sakura's
glass.
Iron Mouse.
Oh, okay.
And then if you hold left click towards this wall, you can see the stain in the wall.
One.
Oh.
It's also more visible with the lights off. That's why I want them to
One.
be off. Claudia, are you here?
I heard
Claudia?
a countdown.
A countdown. What? Where?
I heard right here. I heard 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, I heard it too.
I put your compass on the floor if you want.
That's fine.
You
I'll
have
just be there.
ectoplasm?
Yeah, ectoplasm. You can put that in the evidence.
Oh yeah.
That's one of the things.
I don't know.
Claudia, do you
Oh,
want us to be
stain.
here?
3D, 3D, 3D.
Do you want to talk to Claudia? Are you single?
Claudia, what was your
Why
net
is
worth
that the
Oh.
before you
first
died?
thing you ask?
Did you see that?
Just curious.
Did anybody else see that?
Face.
I saw 3D mode.
The ghost was on top of Mel, like standing on her. No, nobody saw that.
Thank you. My favorite
Ah.
game cold.
Oh wait, she's a pianist. Hey,
She's
can
a
you
pianist.
can you play that again?
That's so irritating.
It's a 3.
You finished 3 playthroughs? Is it that
3.
good? Is there like a next game plus?
Alright.
Where are you, Claudia?
I think it might be in here, guys. I don't know.
I got
Yeah,
it.
do you guys want to talk to Claudia?
Me too.
Claudia, what was your net worth before you died? I'm just curious.
Claudia, how rich were you?
Claudia, this house is probably
Are you
worth $1 million
French?
something in today's market price.
What is the price range of this house? Wait, you see that book that's sticking out of the bookshelf over there? What does that say?
Limbo? Oh.
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 Oh, yay!
Feels sound upset has said enough time for at least 2 playthroughs.
We will come
So you're in the
for you.
first one.
God,
Oh.
I've been wanting to go home.
Well, then maybe next month when I have a little bit more time off. How am I fucking to up this?
You...
Guys, they're coming for
It's
us. They're gonna bring
okay.
us
We'll
ice
come for
cream.
We will come for you.
Yeah, that's alright. I appreciate it. But
We
I'm
will
good.
come for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it though. Thank you.
Alright, no one's coming. I guess we're leaving.
Oh no! Oh, the crosses fell.
Is there an earthquake? What's happening? Claudia, did you do that?
I guess Jesus doesn't like hanging out with us.
Alright, so we know this is the ghost room. So we can put our stuff down here and grab this stuff so we don't die. You can... Oh yeah, you had the painting. Alright, let's get the crucifix. And the other stuff.
The crucifix.
Carry on.
We'll be back later.
Oh,
This
Maria's
way.
here.
That's nothing.
Maria.
Yeah, you can't enter
Maria
here.
Nothing.
room.
Yeah, that's okay. Let's go up the stairs.
Well, Maria doesn't know proper grammar, so.
Yeah. Claudia didn't tell me if she was single or not.
Why? 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 is
It's a
that
very
your first
Alti wanted to know.
All
question?
T wants.
Wanted to
I
know.
didn't get to ask the last ghost, so I'm asking Claudia. Alright, what's our sanity looking at?
I was just about to check that. 69.
Nice.
Oh,
I don't see anything happening. The painting is sideways in the camera.
Yeah, I didn't set it down properly.
That's okay. I mean, we're gonna go back in. Yeah, the game's pretty good. Only critique is that there's only like 4 enemy types. I mean, that's not too bad.
We should put bells on who died first. Oh, bets. Bets. What's up, Willow? Up, man. It's probably gonna be me.
I mean, how's the atmosphere though? Is it like spooky? Can someone grab the other crucifix? My inventory's full.
Yeah, I got it.
And then grab
Got
the
candle.
this thing, the circle.
Oh, we need a circle.
Yeah.
Do I don't think I have room for a circle.
I don't think you need the candle. Because there was not already a candle there, right? Oh, there you go.
But
Gotcha.
I really like
Alright.
the candle.
That's
I got it, I got it.
fine. Alright, let's go back.
What does this do? What does this thing do?
So when you put it on the ground, if the ghost like passes through it, it'll show up like right on top of it. And that's one of the evidence
Oh.
we can have.
Oh, like dots.
Yeah.
It's a trap.
Yep.
The ghost trap.
And I have one too, so if we like double it up, we'll see it.
Nice, nice. I want to worry about dying.
Atmosphere's really good, and the story is also really good once to give you the details. Well, that's good to
Ghost
know.
is girl. Just fuck
I always
that
like
Willow.
good story games.
The ghost is a girl, so I guess I will live.
It's this way.
I'm going the right way.
Yeah, it's to the right this way. All right, I'm gonna put it that way. Did he paint? Oh wait, who has the other painting?
It's in the car.
Nope.
What the?
Nope, nope, nope. Where is that? Where was that? Where was that?
It keeps
fine.
spawning in front of.
I'm tripping. I'm tripping balls.
It
I-
wants.
I think
I'm not
it
gonna
wants
say
you.
that
balls
live.
right now.
Are y'all? Do y'all have like an 18 plus viewership?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can you
why?
put that thing over here?
Because I want to say something.
Yeah,
go
put it over here. The crucifix. Just put it down
It
here.
put its face in between my titties. It wants my boobs.
Then let me put this over here.
Alright,
It
put
wanted
the
to go.
cross on the floor.
There we go. It looks like it was choking her. Yeah.
What do I
I-
do? I like being choked.
I
What do
took
do
a
with the candle?
picture. I mean, you're
Oh,
just
it's
holding
behind
it.
You.
What? It showed up like on top of this thing.
No, behind it.
I don't see anything.
Well, I'm
right,
getting.
right on top of the cross.
I'm going
It's
crazy.
behind. It's moving shit.
Uh oh.
What?
Uh oh.
Okay. Oh, there it is. There it is.
I missed
there
it.
is, There it is.
What?
Oh, now it picked up now. Okay. All right. Well. Okay. All
Wait,
right.
what?
all
Is she
right.
dead? I'm sorry. What?
Huh?
Wait, are you dead?
Now?
Yeah.
What? Why?
I guess it really wanted me.
The crucifix is right there. It shouldn't have been able to hunt. That wasn't even a hunt. You just straight up just died.
I just saw a chair
What
and
is-
I'm like, wait, what?
It keeps popping
Star?
up for like half a second.
Yeah, I see it too.
It really did want to be with me forever. And I don't have any say in it.
Where's the
where
music? The spirit box.
I didn't have it.
Ah! Ah! What the fuck is this shit?
It's just chilling. Get out.
Yeah.
All right,
I'll-
bet we're out. See ya.
I'll get out. Don't worry.
See ya. All right.
Don't worry
See you
about it.
later. Sakura, where are you?
I'll bounce. Leaving. Going up the stairs.
Are you dead? Lies motionless on the floor. I mean, there was no event. It just she just straight up fell over.
Oh.
Sakura, one of us died. Where have you been?
I
Where have-
was just
What? Just chilling in a van while we die?
I thought you died.
Yeah, we thought you died.
Yeah.
But I didn't even see the ghost attack though. We had like 2 crucifix, so she just straight up
That's
murdered her.
crazy. Yeah. That's horrible.
Yeah, we had 2
Why do you
crucifix
sound sus?
on
What did you
both
do?
ends.
You didn't do anything, did you? Why do you
Yeah,
sound
of course
sus?
not. I didn't do nothing.
That
You
sounds
sure?
sus. I'm taking a
Yeah,
pill.
I-
So sus.
I didn't do anything.
She got levitated and folded like an origami. I know, but like
Yeah.
the ghost didn't even walk up to her. we saw the ghost in the corner of the room, and then she started
Yeah.
flying. And then I took a picture. It said in
In
my...
half.
Where do I see my pictures at? We only have one evidence.
What did you do?
What are you looking at? I didn't do anything.
Hmm.
I took a pill, so you should probably take a pill.
Yeah, you should take a pill,
Alright.
so we are gonna be
Did you
above
do to me,
50.
Sakura?
Oh no!
Oh, she's haunting you.
Oh, she's hot.
How is she haunting me?
Oh,
Wait,
'Cause you
I
left
thought, I
us.
thought you were my wife, Sakura. I thought we had
Oh,
something.
no. Okay, listen, I didn't know.
don't they like phase? That depends on the
No,
ghost.
you're not getting away from me that easily.
I mean, I know more about fast mode than this game.
Oh, I'm right behind
But
you.
like, we had crucifix on both sides, so it shouldn't even have been able to hunt.
Right?
But
the-
unless the crucifix in the wrong spot. Which it
What
looks like
happened
it
is-
came from that corner, so maybe we need to put it in more. Where's the spirit box? We need to talk to Claudia and ask her why she had to kill Mel.
Out of nowhere, they're like, oh, there's a chair now, and then I died. I was like, okay.
I don't even know if I'm getting money for the photos. Alright, Sakura, let's go down. Why are you upstairs?
Yeah, why are you
I was
upstairs?
talking to the ghost. I was talking to the ghost. Let's go.
Alright, let's go.
Yeah, that's all I am now is a ghost. I'm not gonna be anything more.
Alright, you can
But
check
the ghost told
for
us to leave.
And don't stop walking.
for
Sakura.
spirit or the UV light.
Oh.
Yeah, you have to check the fingerprints.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay.
I'll watch your surroundings to see if anything lights up.
Oh, I'll take up the rear. Don't worry. Make
I'll
sure
turn up my light.
on her best behaviors.
It should be in the room still.
Go down the stairs.
Alright, let's find on the right. Trying to see if the walls light up.
Yeah, we're back. Oh, hey, Mel. Oh,
What's
okay.
happening?
All right.
I think it's hunting.
Good? We dying? Are we
I think it's
dying?
hunting. We're running away. It's coming.
Oh
I'm
my
leaving.
god,
I'm running.
I
I'm
don't
running.
wanna
I'm running. I'm running.
Oh,
So
oh.
it's
Why am I
okay
not
when
sprinting?
you don't want to die.
Why am I
Yeah.
not sprinting?
It looks like you're out of stamina, so...
Oh.
And the door's closed. Oh, there it is, cheese. Guys, the door's locked. Door's locked.
I'm gonna push it up harder.
I'm hiding in this closet. Find your own closet. There's only room for two.
Hey, yo, there's an airplane going over my house. No, that's a lawnmower.
Yeah, if you don't want to be with the ghost, just don't die. Sai, you good?
No.
Are you
No.
dead?
Wait, Mel, can you see where the ghost is?
Oh,
I mean, you're also a ghost.
excuse me. Also, I'm gonna mute
What?
myself. Not right now, but like someone's mowing their yard.
That's fine. That adds to the atmosphere. It's like we're in the game. We're gonna go to the lawn mowing
Talking
map.
about.
Is the ghost hunt done? Alright, let's get out of here. Sai?
Good.
Yeah, I'm so good. I'm so good.
Alright, the door's open.
Thank God. Oh, thank God.
Alright, so I don't want to go back down there because it's hunting wood crucifix.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I think we'll
thought the
just die
crucifix
if we walk.
was supposed to stop it.
Well, I mean, yeah, but Mel died in front of both of our eyes while we had
Yeah.
two crucifixes out.
Like right there. Like her dead
Yeah,
body's
look, her
right there.
body's in the camera. There's a crucifix right there on the bottom left and all the way over there further that way.
Oh no. Well then,
Ooh,
how?
look at-
So what we're gonna
Window
do
chairs.
with our one evidence, we can guess what the ghost is. We got Diogen, Agash, Shade, Wraith, Myling, Raiju, Demon, Naman,
So there's
Guapo.
no evil
you...
drawing. There's no freezing temperature.
Well, we didn't really ask it to draw, because we need to. It needs to be in the
Oh.
same room, so it's probably like. You see how the painting's
EMF
right
was only
there?
a 3 for the entire time that I saw,
Did we
so it was
try
definitely not
again?
a 5.
Oh,
Sakura, we tried to walk in and it started hunting. With our sanity
Sakura,
pretty
I think you
high.
should go give it a shot. I will watch.
Yeah, we'll watch you
That's
through the
okay.
camera. You let us know
Yeah.
what if it's gonna pain for us.
Yeah.
You take a pill
Yes.
and get in there.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
not by myself.
I mean, we were
That's
there
the
looking
right
for
call.
you. You've been by yourself the
Yeah.
whole time. You can go in
Yeah.
there. You out of here.
I
Jeez.
was in
Yeah.
the good part of of the house, though. I was in the good part of the house, not that creepy part of the
Well, you
house.
take a pill, you go in with 90 sanity, so it shouldn't hunt you. And if it still hunts you, then we can figure out what the ghost is. All right, go take that pill.
Yeah,
If
you're
you
the highest
get
sanity. You're
if you get
67.
hunted while you're 100% with a pill, then we know it's like a demon. All right.
Okay.
And plus, we ran pretty quickly, so you'll be fine. We'll watch you through the camera. We'll let you know on the radio if it's hunting.
EMF 5 though.
That
Oh, wait,
yeah.
I'm gonna take the EMF again to see if maybe it has the EMF.
All right.
Should I take
Is
it
there a
again?
fixed scared ghost in those? Well, after we figured out there's one thing, it's these highlighted ones that what it can't be, and these other gray ones, it's the things that it can't be. So
So I crossed
Diogen,
out freezing temperatures because I didn't see any freezing temperature.
did you have the thing?
I just thought you would see your breath.
No, that's not always the case.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, Mark, welcome man. How you doing?
Told you she wasn't
Happy
interested.
Halloween.
Thanks, Willow. I appreciate it. I think
You have
the
any
ghost
plans,
might have
Mark?
died.
Oh, the ghost that picks the
Ooh.
target. Oh yeah, there are certain ghosts that do focus on a certain target, like the shade. Never mind, that's the wrong one. It was one of them. That it's like it loves a person, and then it doesn't harm that person, but it harms everybody else if they're nearby. It closed the door, so it's hunting you. You got this.
The
That
camera.
is
Oh, they
here.
have 2
No,
cameras.
we won the first map, and we're trying to do this map, but then our teammate died while we had Crucifix in there, and then we sent Sakura in there to get more evidence.
I opened the door.
Guapo. Can trigger fake hunts. Oh. But I didn't get the spirit box. Okay, it could also be a Yuri.
What did you do? What did you do?
Yuri.
You upset the ghost so much.
Are you talking about Sakura, the one that's still alive, or Mel, the one who died? Because it was going for her, she kept getting, like...
What was the EMF?
The ghost kept popping up in front of her face.
Oh no, because I went in for like a second and started hunting.
Go try it. Go in there. Go in there real quick. Just
But this thing has ESG, but the ESG could also be, like, in the wrong direction.
right there. Right here.
Yeah, this thing right here needs to be maybe facing this way, and that thing would be facing the other way. Maybe I meant Mel. Oh no, yeah, it could be. I'm trying to read because I don't remember which one focuses on one person. Okay, it can be a Raiju, because we were all together. So I'm gonna cross that out. Come on. Can steal the tools on the ground. Okay, well, we didn't really have any of our tools stolen. I think demons just straight up it'll hunt you, right? If it decides to kill someone, it will be very hard. Well, it really wanted to kill Mel, and Mel is now dead. Cold environment, slow, and warmer. Much more aggressive when... It could also be a Diogen. Much more aggressive when hunting their chosen target. Okay, maybe it's just a demon. As it says, if it's less aggressive. But, like, Mel was nearby the whole time and it was just doing a bunch of stuff. Right? Alright, where's the gang at? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, what's up, man?
Where's Sakura?
She's in there.
Oh. Did you get any more evidence?
No EMF 5.
EMF is still like up to 4 and 05. I told her to draw on the painting.
Okay.
Nothing, right?
Well, we can check the camera. I was looking through the ghost list. I was thinking maybe it's Diogen or Demon. Because if you read
Might
the
be
ghost
demon, 'cause
types...
I
Yeah,
went
but
in
if you...
there and it tried to kill me.
Okay, it can't. I don't think it's a Diogen then. As good as it sounds, because in the Diogen it says they will be much more aggressive when hunting their chosen target, which is Mel, because she was always nearby. But since she's dead and we're all far away, it should be less aggressive. But then it's still hunted.
Maybe Mel wasn't the chosen target.
She died instantly. Like, we saw a ghost, like, spawning in front of her face the whole time. Like, the second I walked in there. The ghost was standing on top of her. I'm thinking it's a demon. Well, then you would have died first instead of Mel. Even if we were in the room.
Well,
I was thinking also a Yurei.
What did you do? You sound so sus.
Yeah, are you guys reading what the Yurei does?
I'm reading what the ghost does, yes.
Yeah, the Yurei, it says it's more likely to be hunted when traveling in groups. But wait, also, you traveled alone and still hunted you. That contradicts
it
it.
still hunted me.
So it's just a demon.
It hunted me immediately too. I think it's a. Let me try.
It's just a
again.
demon.
Hold on.
If it decides to kill someone, it will be very hard to stop it. It decided to kill Mel, she's dead. We couldn't stop it even with the crucifix. I don't even know how to make it angry though.
How do we get the freezing temperature then? Is that like
We have to use the yeah, we have the thermometer. That's in there somewhere if you guys didn't drop it.
It's not. What did you do, Star? I think you should.
Oh, alright, what ghost are we doing?
And I thought I had to take.
Wait, what's your stamina? Oh. It could also be a guapo.
Guapo. Okay, I know where the hiding place is. I can go in for a second.
But the guapo is very like complicated with playing games and triggering hunts to fake hunts. I mean, it wasn't really fake hunting while we were down there.
Oh no.
Raiju Myling. Did you have a candle in there?
I did have a candle in there, yeah. It didn't get blown out though. That's what you're gonna ask.
Okay, never mind.
Oh, the lights are flickering.
That means it's hunting. Yeah, if you press E, we should be able to see the ghost. There it is.
Yeah,
It's runner.
Oh.
She's a runner.
It's bro.
She's fast.
She's trying to kill me.
You see that?
Yeah.
It also did a
yeah.
very long face. Like she blinked all the way back there.
Yeah.
So I'm not too knowledgeable in the facing for this game. I am in a fast mode, so I don't know what that means. Known or hypersensitive known they dislike being bright light. Well, we weren't in the dark, so it's not a shade.
Yeah.
A gash. I don't know if it's cold, because what was the temperature when we were down there?
I don't know.
Yeah, Grapple sounds wrong.
No EMF 5.
I'm just gonna guess it's a ghost. I mean, it's a ghost. I mean, a demon. I think it's a ghost, guys.
You know what? With your hunch,
I
think
think
it
it's
is a ghost as well.
That's what I'm thinking. What? I can't open it. It's hunting. Here, I'll take a picture of you.
Yeah, it's
Where
not
you
working
at?
anymore.
Oh, it's open.
Oh, it's open.
Oh, it's hunting. I'm just kidding. It's open. Get over here. Where are you going?
I think I was the chosen one. I don't know.
We were just thinking it's a demon.
Sakura.
Because
Well, because you see what happened was that
What?
I accidentally hit this thing,
Accidentally.
and then
oh, it went to the heart. Nice, perfect. Now we're just gonna choose demon. So just pick demon.
Are you sure?
I'm not sure. It just keeps hunting us
Frickin'?
whenever we walk in the house.
Okay.
All right, let's get out of here.
We're
Let's
saying
get Mel back.
Yeah.
Demon.
Can I?
Yeah, it could also be Diogen, but the Diogen,
I think.
says it'll be less aggressive if we're not nearby. And we're like entering the house and it's hunting already. If we're wrong, this guy's pranking us.
That worked.
Ooh.
It was a Raiju. What
get it
clues? No. What clues did it give for a
Incorrect.
Raiju?
It was
A Raiju?
Raiju.
That still doesn't make any sense.
so glad
It says
you
lonely
put
targets
oxygen
are
again.
good for them. Wait, Sakura, you killed us.
Take from solitude, being alone.
Yeah, Sakura, you killed us because you were alone.
Oh.
All three of us were in a pack, so it was
But we were
calm.
all
But then,
together when
yeah, but
Mel died.
Sakura was away from us.
That's,
So if
that's because of my voodoo doll.
Oh my god.
no, I'm saying since you were alone earlier without us, and it was targeting
Jen,
was
if you're
you.
talking, we can't hear you.
Oh, hello. It was you. You killed us. I'm gonna say it all over again. You did this. All three of us were in a pack, and because you were alone, it was more aggressive, and that's what killed us. Because it was trying to kill you the whole time. So it was
Yeah.
targeting you, but then it spawned in front
Does
of us.
my butt look as good as Sakura's now?
Yeah.
Ah. Is it good? Does it look good? Cool.
There's no thumbs up. Either. Alright, we're going to the farmhouse.
Do it.
Farmhouse.
I'm gonna put as much as I can, but I will be broke if I die. There we go.
What do we
Get
need?
the thermo-
Can you
I don't
bring
have
a
enough money
pocket
to buy
watch?
anything.
It's 500 at the bottom.
500 bottom pocket watch. Oh, I can't even buy it. It's level 3.
Oh,
I'm level 1.
that's fine. That's fine. Just keep saving money, because if I die, then I probably need you guys to buy something.
Okay.
I'm gonna ready up when we're ready.
Oh yeah.
I don't. If it was a Raiju, why was it targeting Mel the whole time?
I guess it just really liked my boobs.
I guess so.
It kept appearing right in my chest. I don't know.
I mean, it did spawn on top of you too.
Only logical explanation.
But
Okay,
it
let's-
used like two different. It used like 3 different ghost models still, which is what I'm confused about, because it kept changing whenever it like did the
Grab one
event.
EMF.
All right, what's his name? Michael Jackson. Rishi. Oh, it only answers when you're alone.
I wish it was raining here. I love rain. Oh, but no. But then my Wi-Fi would cut out, and then I wouldn't be able to stream. I take that
All
back.
right, who wants to take the spirit
Same
box?
problem with me over here too.
That's what happened last time it rained. I was streaming, and
Just black.
granted, I was going for a while. I was going for like 6 hours,
Mhm.
and then it cut out, and I was like, no, I was in the middle of a game. I was in Overwatch.
Well, hopefully it wasn't
I was in
rank.
trouble.
Dying.
Hello. I muted the whole time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, probably.
All right, perfect.
Don't worry, baby.
It
Fine.
only speaks to people who are alone. Rishi Haynes.
Also
I
like
swapped to a
being famous
different
and knowing
perspective
Iron
and then
Mouse.
said, "Wait, who's the naked dude?" That's nobody. I'm not naked. All right, some
1-800.
1-800. That's all I know.
1-800. He's so handsome. He's
I
a
even said
hero.
that I failed the lyrics already.
It sounded like you were trying to do the. It's fire.
Wait, you guys have room still? The spirit
Yeah, I
box
can
is
pick
still
one more.
available.
Which one?
All right, spirit box. Okay, you can get to
Oh.
talk to the ghost by yourself. Perfect.
I don't want that. I don't want that at all.
No, you have to now. You have the spirit box. You have the power.
Oh gosh. Alright.
I mean, we've still got to find the ghost room first, and then once we put all the crucifix up, you'll be like completely safe.
You know, that didn't happen to Mel. Last time.
Well, it was probably a big room, and it was spawning in like. It looks like it did spawn in the corner where the piano spawned.
Yeah.
So, and we didn't put a crucifix in that corner. It was like
Ah.
before that corner. So we just misplaced it. That's all. There's nothing here. Oh wow, this is just an empty room.
I'll take this thing.
What button do I use? E?
I'm gonna Let's have an open this.
Ooh. Don't put lights on.
Can we open this?
Did I do
Nope.
anything?
There's a car outside. They left the lights on. There is an upstairs right there.
Oh, yeah, that's the heart.
Don't do anything to that heart. I got 3 over here.
Over here.
Oh.
Oh no! Wait.
Oh. Oh.
So it's in this room?
Oh. Oh.
Oh, look at her bra.
Did you press the thing?
Hey, what's up?
Nothing. This is just vengeance for what happened last time. Oh, we're at 10 Celsius.
Negative Celsius, you mean, or?
Yeah, negative.
Because I see my ghost breath, not my ghost breath, but my freezing temp.
Oh, there's a lot of
Oh, it's
dead.
only 3. Hey, you want to talk to the ghost? You have the thing.
Yo, we're just here looking to rent.
Oh, there's a ectoplasm in the wall.
Oh, okay. You left ectoplasm on the wall. Can
Yeah,
we more the rent?
Also, I
Can I
can
have
only
for you
speak
extra
to
key?
people who are alone, so we have to leave now.
No, please don't.
Oh, wait, 1 second. I had to mark that
No.
in my.
That's okay. We'll be right here. We'll be
We
right
love
here.
you, Sai. We love you.
Yeah, we'll be right here. We're gonna. Alright, we can peek through this window.
Okay, yo.
You got this.
What's
See,
up,
we're
buddy?
still here with you.
All right. Well, what's up? What's up? What's up, stream? What's up, chat? How you guys doing?
That was very fast. I mean, it's just because Mel pressed the button over here and summoned it.
You wanna?
Here, we can
It
prank
was
him.
vengeance for
Here,
last
watch this.
time. She killed me. I kill her.
Exactly. Watch
do
this.
anything.
Never mind. Didn't work. Is it not replying to you?
No, not replying.
All right.
Thank
Look.
God.
I mean, why'd you leave? You can keep asking you questions.
No, I'm good. I thought it was good enough. It was cold. You said it was ectoplasma.
It was negative 10.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it was
Oh.
negative 10. Sakura.
Freezing temps. So it's down to 4 ghosts already. So
Yeah.
we need fingerprints, easel, ghost reaction, and spirit box. All right, so let's get the easels in there.
I died, but it
Yeah,
was
what happened?
engine, so it's okay. It's okay. It was fine. It was okay. I got voodoo doll.
Okay, let me stop this. All right, so I keep talking to it.
Man.
I'll put another crucifix down so it can't spawn.
You have to, yeah. You have to hold it, like.
Oh, you have to hold left click. Have you just been talking the whole time?
No, I left clicked and then I stopped left clicking because I thought, like a walkie-talkie, you can't be holding the walkie-talkie while the other person replies. That's
No,
what I
you
thought,
can't, you
but
can't.
it could be wrong. So I guess I'll just keep holding it.
Yep.
I didn't even know it was this room.
It was.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
crazy. We were just doing the voodoo doll in here, and I thought it was fine.
All right, the lights have to be off.
Okay. Well, lights off. Hey, what's up?
I mean, we can just be in this room.
Are we gonna make out?
No, he gotta make out with a ghost.
Oh, babies. Okay.
Yo,
Babies. So many babies. Okay.
did you ask it a question?
Oh my goodness! Behind you.
Okay. All right.
Here, let me see
Well,
this.
you
Let me
didn't
see
say
the thing.
nothing. There you go.
Maybe it needs to talk to a different one. All right, let me see. What's his name? Hey, are you in here? Can you draw on the paint? I need you to be outside the
on
room.
the cover of Vogue. Sorry.
No worries. Why did you kill Sakura?
I just wanted to be with baby no money.
Are you here?
He looks just
How
like him.
old are you? Where are you?
Where are you?
And I'm so sorry. We don't even need him at 5. Hello?
Five?
What's his name again? What's your name?
I think it was like Reishi or something.
Let me go.
Rishi, are you here?
Reese's Pieces.
Can you give me Reese's? Are you French?
Why
Can you draw
Why
on
not
the
get
painting?
French people?
I gotta know if they're French or not. Alright, you. Oh, it drew on the painting. Alright, I'm out here. I'm out of here. Leave.
Wait, I gotta get a picture.
Rishi Haynes,
I got a thing. We got easel. I'm gonna check the optional objectives.
It's a demon then.
Wait, it's a demon.
That's the last thing that's there. Freezing temperature, ectoplasma, easel. The only thing that's
Oh.
there.
Collect salt bags. Correct the crucifix. Upload the computer data. What does that mean? Alright, let's take a pill.
You know what's funny? I have so many pics of that demon, and my sanity is very high.
Your sanity's at 40.
Yeah, it's higher than what it normally is in Faz.
Yeah, that's fine. Alright, once we lock in
Hi,
the
Jared.
ghosts, the next objectives will spawn in the map.
Okay, so it's
So-
a demon, right?
Yeah.
You agree? Okay.
Mhm.
So I could.
So now we have to upload the computer data, collect salt bags, and correct the crucifixes. I have no idea what that means.
Maybe like they're facing the wrong way, like they're upside down or something.
Maybe. Let's go check it out.
Okay, baby, no money.
What is upload
Yep,
the
let's get in
computer
there.
data though?
We just gotta find a computer, I guess.
This thing?
No, it's inside the house. Everything spawned in there. Yeah, we gotta breach the firewall. Upload his data. We gotta expose him.
Hi! Welcome in on the Twitch side. We're live on Twitch.
Alright, where's this computer at? Find the computer.
Oh.
He's streaming. We gotta find him. I'm going upstairs.
Alright, we're gonna dox this guy.
Well, that's closed. It's just, oh.
Did I pick up? Did I get it?
What?
Okay, what?
Did I get it? On my camera, it doesn't show that there's a circle, or, yeah.
Oh, I picked it up. We're swatting the ghost. Go, go, go.
On the
Find his
camera-
computer.
oh.
I found some salt bags. Alright, you see these
Alright.
things on the ground?
Camera doesn't pick this up. Do you remember?
Those?
Your name
Yeah, those
is
things.
very
Those are what we have to
Ah.
use to overload the ghost to kill it later.
Oh,
How do we activate it? I have no idea. Alright, we gotta find the crucifix. Let's check the ghost room. Oh, there's the salt bag. Oh, that's the computer.
Here,
Quick, he's streaming. Log in.
He's streaming.
74 seconds. Alright, let's find the
What?
crucifix while that's
I'm
uploading.
ready.
Wait, I'm allowed to walk away, right? It's not.
Yeah, I think so. You can leave. Is it still loading?
Is it? Okay, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Alright, let's go find the crucifix.
Crucifix. Yeah, whenever I tried to take a picture of like the stuff on the wall, it's not there on my camera.
Are you doing
Oh.
good? Doing good.
Maybe the
You're doing
ghost
well.
wrote it down.
Maybe it's ghost ink.
Ooh.
Spooky.
What are we looking for?
I have no idea. Check the ghost room.
Question mark?
Oh. That should be right here.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah,
there's
that
the-
door.
There's a crucifix.
Yeah, leave that there.
Right.
We have to check inside the ghost room.
Oh.
That's my body.
Oh, see, look, the crucifix are incorrect.
Oh, so you gotta turn them around?
Yeah.
Turned it. Turned it.
Alright, let's go back to the van real quick. And let's check. Lua, thank you for the hydrate. How you doing? Happy Halloween. Are you home? And thank
Are
you
you
for
gonna
the pets.
hydrate though?
I am. I'm hydrating.
Aizawa, yeah, of course I remember you.
He ectoplasm all over the wall. Can you believe this
Of
guy?
course I remember you, Aizawa. How could I not remember you?
Are you dressing up, Lua? Okay, we still need a salt bag.
I remember
And-
you had the fancy font with your
Oh,
name
wait.
and everything.
Correct the crucifix?
There's
What?
there's still more crucifix we need to fix, it looks like, based on this thing.
Oh, man.
So we need to find more salt bags. We're done uploading his Twitch.
Is that November 1st?
What?
November 1st, Jimmy? Oh, sorry. Just on the chat.
Oh, I was like, what are you talking about? November 1st? It's going to a party with players fucking me up, so I went back home. No, I'm sorry to hear that. What you
happy
gonna be
you're
doing
here,
now? Do you
Aizawa.
have any?
Oh, more
Plans for
crucifix.
dinner?
Got it. Got it.
Okay, we still need to find one more salt bag somewhere.
Oh.
Do you have any
Stairs.
Halloween movies?
Oh.
I'm gonna turn the light off, see, buddy.
I don't remember where the ghost room is.
Alright, I will say, once we find the last piece, the ghost will start hunting, I think. And then we need to run them through
lovely.
these lasers right here. You
You
see
guys
it?
stop watching VTubers. Oh no.
Okay.
Next, I love you too. Thank you for that, Drake.
I hope it wasn't anything bad.
No longer danger. in
Sai, did you hear what I
24
said?
ones. Yeah, run them through lasers. Right?
Once we collect the last piece of evidence, the ghost will
Yeah,
start
yeah.
hunting, and we have to run past
Yeah.
these lasers.
Okay.
Something
So,
bad
did we
happened? Oh,
find the last crucifix?
If you want to reach out
I
and talk
just
to me about it,
turned
you're more
one.
than welcome.
I don't know if that's the last one or not. Let me go look.
Always here to.
Okay.
Or the tent.
volunteer.
If you find a salt bag, don't take it right away.
Got it. Oh, nice. How did you do?
Is there a
Is
salt
this
bag?
important?
What?
Wait.
The
Where'd
EMF?
it go?
No, we dropped everything that we don't need.
Uh,
We just
Yeah,
need to
wrote on it.
find the objective, which is one last salt bag. I have the
Is
light.
there?
Oh, I hate the light. I hate the light.
oh. Oh, I'll play too.
What? You found the last salt bag? Oh, it's starting. It's starting. Did he pick up the salt bag?
Me?
I did not.
But I just saw a
I just walked
clown.
into that room after the child.
Oh wait, what?
My clown
Oh.
was downstairs.
You found the salt bag? Where is it?
I did not find the salt bag.
I thought you found the salt bag.
No. I came back in and I saw a killer clown right there, and I was like,
Yeah, I saw that too. I thought that was a ghost
Talk
hunting.
about it if you want to talk about it in private. I'm
All right, so we
Yeah.
just need the salt bags left.
I can't
Yes,
promise
and
I'll
that's it. Yeah,
understand the
crucifix
situation,
is
but I'll
all
try.
done.
Sushi Nicole.
Okay,
I enjoy the stream right
we need
now.
to find this one last salt bag.
Did you check the
How you
pantry?
doing, Nix?
Eat my salt.
Did you check the pantry? That is where a salt bag.
I'm turning the light off.
Sakura, stand in front of my camera and smile.
Okay.
Ready?
Cheese.
You
Get pranked.
bombed!
Get BB no money.
Oh my god!
Oh, that was creepy. Oh, it's hunting. It's hunting. It's hunting. Or
Are
no,
you sure?
it's
The
not.
door's open.
Door's open. The door's open.
Yep, it's hunting me while the door's open. Thanks, Sakura.
I was trying to take a picture
You're
of
welcome.
you, and all I got was some chesticles. Oh, I'm getting high.
Perfect.
Did you find
Where's
it?
this last salt bag?
Like if you're
Kind of want to nap? You can nap when you get home. I'm good.
I don't
I.
see it either.
Is
Oh,
there
I
a
found it. Oh wait.
Where is it?
I found something. I found something. Over
Where?
here in this bathroom. I don't know what
Nobody
this
checked
is,
the
but I found
bathroom.
something.
Okay, we found the last salt bag. Are everybody ready? No?
Yeah.
I'm already outside.
No, we have to be inside. We
Okay.
have to lead the ghost through these traps.
Ah.
Alright. Ready?
All right. Yeah.
Alright, I'm picking it up in 3, 2, 1.
All right. You see it's charging.
Uh-huh.
We have to just lure it towards the thing. You can come from any direction, so be careful.
Hey, it's Onion sent breaking news. Famous streamer from the great beyond,
have a
XQG,
breaking news I
reported
can't
to have
hear.
been swatted for manslaughter of beloved co-host Starlight Sakura.
Stomping. Oh, yeah, I got some free.
Music in the background of my stream is not helping.
Thank
this
you. Oh
moment.
no. Yeah, I can't hear it either. My Persona 3 music's playing. I mean, he can only come from the stairs or over there on the left. All right, Mel, you bait the ghost.
Who, me?
Either one of you.
I will.
Oh wait, it's coming.
Oh, the door's closed.
Oh, he's coming. He's coming. He's coming.
I don't see
Which
him.
way?
I
He
go.
should get. He's supposed to get sapped when he comes through
He's
this way.
coming this way. He's coming this way.
Oh, the clown's
Oh, there he
coming.
is.
All right, he should be get sapping. He should be get sapped. Yeah, we got him. Oh no, we didn't.
Oh, I keep
No, we didn't.
going.
No, we didn't.
I have to keep going.
Is he still hunting? I'm going upstairs. I'm going upstairs.
I'm literally following you. I don't know what I'm doing.
What? Where is he?
I don't
Upstairs.
See him. I don't see him. I don't see him.
Are we done?
Did we win?
Maybe.
Is the door open?
The door's not open, but I can't open it, so.
I'll give it a
Wait, the door's open.
It's open. It's open. It's open.
Oh, so I think we did it.
Oh, nice.
If it's not chasing us anymore and the door's open, let's check. Because I think we just need to get him through that one laser that was active.
I understand, Aizawa.
Did we complete it? I have no idea if it's complete or not.
Make the paranormal field generate overload by making the ghost pass through it. When it's unlocked, does that mean we did it?
I'm gonna guess so, because we saw the ghost.
Are you,
It went
are
through
you
the
in
thing.
Discord, Aizawa?
So I think, yeah, I think so. It went through the thing, and it's unlocked now, so I think we're done.
Alright, cool.
We did it, guys. Easy. No one died.
Hey.
It plays a cutscene.
Do it?
Okay, guys,
Oh,
we
we
did.
didn't
We
access-
failed. We didn't do it.
No?
I guess we need to do it more than once.
The exorcism is crossed out. Does that mean we didn't do
Yeah.
it?
Oh no, that means we didn't do it. So there's supposed to be a cutscene, like Onyo says. We failed.
okay.
So I think we did it once, but I think we need to do it more than one time to like overload it.
Okay.
But I mean, we figured out how to do it,
Okay.
Yeah.
and we still got a lot of money, so that's still pretty good. And nobody died. Yep, we're all
No one
alive.
died.
Oh,
All right, let me know.
hi, baby.
Do you guys have a map you want to try out on the screen?
Oh, you did a bit. The cat's more important. This is the best game. There's a
Yes.
cat. Yeah.
I feel like remembering seeing either cutscene or a
What's
longer
level
animation.
5 or the other?
I think so too. I kind of forgot.
One of the
It's been
chalice.
a while.
What was that one?
Wait, what you say?
If you want to talk about it, we can.
The
Talk
one,
about
the one with the chalice, the snake on it. Oh, it's hospital. Is that this hospital? I can't read it.
Oh, that's
Yeah, that's the
one of
hospital.
my moderators.
Oh, okay.
We're going to the hospital, guys.
Yeah.
That one's a big map, so
Will my cancer be cured?
You need anything, Jan?
just ask the
I need
ghost.
My, buying thing.
The pocket watch, and maybe another tripod camera and
Oh,
a
Derek
sanity
scared
pill,
you. I'm sorry.
because we're gonna be in the big map. Thank you for the hydrate, Joe. How you doing?
Let's see.
Oh.
Anything else?
Another crucifix.
Hold on, I'm taking a picture of my cat. She's sleeping, and like she looks really cute.
That is important.
It wasn't a sin. I
It keeps
drank out of my
focusing on
mind last
iPad.
time. Yeah, I remember that. How's the spoopy game going? We chillin'. We're always winning. Nobody's dying,
There we go.
and we're winning. Did you add
I
the
had
other
to
crucifix?
I had to prioritize taking a picture of my cat.
No worries.
Oh, you know what?
Can you add soccer? Just add whatever you can.
Okay.
There we go. There we go. I posted it on my Discord so y'all can see my kitty cat. Horchata.
Ooh, horchata.
Freaking love horchata.
Where? Where?
Oh, it was an advertisement for rum chata.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
I
all
don't
can
have
add.
Spotify Premium.
Oops.
The professor, it's detective without what? What are you? What? What?
I don't know what I was talking about, but I know I never actually stopped. Yeah, I mean, I think you were drunk, so it's all good.
What's your name on Discord, Isala?
In the hospital.
All right, we're in the hospital. Time to get a checkup. What are you in for? How do you
This is
say
out of
that
my-
name? Ayub Austin.
You Austin?
Ayub.
You the man.
UB Austin.
Ayub Austin.
UB Austin. UB Austin.
What if I don't want to be Austin? Alright. I got the ecto glass, and then I'll grab a painting for when we find it.
I got this thingy.
Yep.
This, actually,
UV
you know what?
light.
Yeah.
Got a camera and the EMG.
Yeah, that's what
Alright.
that's what we get. That's one of the
Alright,
quests.
don't
That's why I
touch-
got it.
Don't touch the voodoo dolls ever again. Like this.
What?
I mean, it's supposed to give you interactions, but if it touches the heart, you're supposed to say so we can run
Oh,
instead
Oh,
of
it
you
says
guys
we're
just
near me.
sitting there.
Then maybe you should just
we
wait
were
until
having a very nice conversation about vengeance and murder.
Yeah, but if the
Nothing bad
ghost
happened.
was like in a different spot where I
It's
was, I
what
would
we
have
talk
died
about
instantly.
Every time we get our morning coffee at Starbucks.
Behind this counter is.
Oh, I played Dead by Daylight. I know this map. Let's go. We gotta loop. We gotta loop the killer.
Yep, gotta loop
I've
them.
never played Dead by Daylight. I've been told I would love it.
Yeah, get on. We can 5-stack. Oh, a Luigi board.
A Luigi.
All right. Who wants to ask it the question? I
Oh,
will.
me.
Never mind.
I will. I like that. Who wants to ask a question? I'll do it.
All right, go ask it something.
Oh, I'm okay to ask a question now.
Yeah, go ahead. You just lose your sanity, so after you're done using it, go back to the van and pill up.
Do I need to press E again or click on it?
I think you just say like, "Where are you?" or something,
Mm-hmm.
or "Hello."
Where are you? No.
Oh, right there. All right, C
Oh.
O
R?
R corner corridor. What? Oh, C O
Yeah,
R
corridor.
corridor. Okay. I was gonna say
Corridor.
second or first floor.
First or second floor?
No, don't ask it again.
Oh, what floor are you on? Why don't you answer me?
What floor are you on?
What floor are you on? Okay,
I don't want to
doesn't
ask
like
it
me
again
anymore.
because it's gonna. All right, goodbye.
Goodbye. Nope. There
All right,
it
yeah,
is.
there you go. All right, you can drop that and get up.
Uh.
Goodbye.
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 Hello, what's happening? All right, drop it. All right, go
Cool.
get your sanity back.
Yes, sir.
What happened out here? I heard a noise.
I don't know.
Guys,
We're upstairs. We're upstairs.
guys, it's at the corridor.
We're looking for the corridor.
We asked it where it was. It said corridor.
Oh.
Is this a corridor?
This is technically considered corridor.
Okay, well, check for evidence in this corridor.
Well, we had a bunch of candles that showed up here. So
That's just an event. That can random, evidently. But let's check in here. Let's stay here for a minute.
in here.
Yeah, it said corridor. We asked it where it was.
I don't know.
It's a basement ghost. Alright, I'm gonna leave that painting there.
Oh my goodness, I don't like this place.
This is not a
Sorry, I got the
corridor.
lights.
I'm taking the lights off.
No.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to see for ectoplasm. It's easier with the lights off.
Oh, all right. I'm trying to.
Now
look
you
for
can turn it on.
fingerprints. No, it's okay. We're leaving now.
Who's that? Oh, Sucker.
It's me.
I don't see any
I'm
ectoplasm.
Sakura.
You want to go upstairs? We'll go finish exploring upstairs.
Okay.
I mean, the corridor could also be that big long hallway in the middle where we ran through. It was. We tried to ask it which floor it was, but it didn't say anything, so we said goodbye.
Nope, this is not a corridor.
Yeah, I
No.
think it's downstairs. This is.
It's where you take your blood.
Yep. Time to get your flu shot.
No.
It's not that bad. You just can't use your arm for like an hour.
Oh,
Alright, we gotta look for the right corridor.
red is the color.
Corridor.
Who has EMF reader? Okay, you're walking around.
I
with-
have EMF.
Bar.
It's not.
Yeah, it
it's
could also
not
be
a-
this giant
not a-
corridor, so
All the way down.
that it gave us like the worst hint of where it was.
Oh,
Wait,
oh,
there's
oh, oh.
alarm. Wait,
Any EMF?
Okay.
no, not so far.
Of course I pay attention to people.
This is the worst hint I've ever seen.
I pay attention to all of my
Row.
Okay.
Any EMF?
No EMF.
Guys, I'm so mad. I'm wearing like a pair of really, really fluffy socks and my feet are still freezing cold.
What?
Damn. We got a little heater.
You try. Yeah, put your feet next
Can't
to
use
the
your arm. Yeah, I
exhaust.
couldn't use it like 2 days ago. Here, can you look it through this hallway? Maybe it's in there.
I don't know where.
Oh shit! Oh my god!
Got
What
him.
the fuck? Oh my god! I jumped so fucking hard.
That was pretty good, guys.
Oh. Jeez. Oh my.
You made
Oh, are you down
I
here?
freaked out.
Oh. Crazy. Oh my
No
god.
AMF.
Oh, okay.
Hey, buddy.
Okay.
Do you know where the corridor is?
Oh my god. Alright. Oh my god. My heart.
That was 135.
My heart.
No EMF still?
Let me pull out the EMF.
Oh wait, right here, over here. I'm getting both ghost breaths.
Ooh, ghost breath, yeah.
Yeah, so it may be here.
No EMF.
Okay, just chill there. I'll go get them. Guys, over here. Sakura, Mel.
Oh, 4.
Over here. We got ghost breaths over here in this corridor. Why are you running away?
I got scared.
Go to it. We're trying to see if it's EMF 5. You ran away.
No, it's 4. It's 4.
Okay.
So it's here.
The temperature
Yeah, it's
just
here.
immediately dropped to -10.
Okay,
Drop this
perfect.
little thingamajiggy there.
So we have
Dropped to -10.
we have freezing temps. Do we have? Well, I don't have a crucifix on me. Never mind.
No EMF 5.
This is
freezing
sideways.
temps. Oh. Does it matter?
Yeah, because it goes from like you see where the lightning is. Oh,
Yeah.
so it's checking in this direction.
Oh, okay.
So if you put it
gotcha.
this way, it's just gonna check this chair and it'll
Yeah,
be.
this game is
yeah,
more
okay.
realistic looking than Phasmophobia.
Oh, I thought it had like a full 360.
It's okay.
It's 4 right here. It's 4 like right here.
So,
Oh,
someone's
hello,
banging
man.
over there.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 4 right here.
Can you paint for it? We want to. Let's go grab some stuff, guys. Let's go grab the crucifix.
Yeah, don't be scared by my chat.
What is? Oh, it's-
We're
oh, it's-
living. I'm like Sakura.
What?
that was the
What?
worst location. Just said corridor, and that's the giant corridor.
That was scary.
That was so scary.
I consider that a hallway.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, we asked it like first floor or
British
second
people
floor.
make this game.
Yeah, because I
Maybe.
figured the corridor was like the
Wiser, welcome
outside.
in. Yes, it do be the Wiser. How you doing, Wiser?
I can't
How'd your
promise
secret
that
stream
I'll
go
be
last
late,
night?
But if you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here.
I grab
How
some
are you?
crucifix.
I'm doing really
Hey, you.
good. How are you?
So I never went up to 5, so I think.
So is the crucifix also you gotta face it a certain way? Or
No,
does it
you can
not
just
matter?
drop that. It's like a location in a
Okay.
circle. I don't know why I'm using my real life hands to try and explain it when you
I
can't see
haven't
it.
screamed once.
Alright,
No, I
let's.
get you. I get you. Yeah, I see
let's
it. I see
go.
it.
Alright, let's go. Can someone grab the crucifix and maybe the other ectoplasm was?
So I'll drop this then.
I will
Um,
carry Jesus.
I mean, you can also carry that because we still need that too. Check
The
for
EMF?
EMF 5, yeah. I didn't see that. I was
But
there.
I don't need the thermometer anymore, do I?
I don't think so.
Drop the EMF then.
Yeah, freezing temps, so.
Yep. We're good on that part.
Why is there a roach on here?
Is there a what?
It's powering the EMF.
But it only moves when I move? Do we share the same
Yeah.
brain cell?
Yeah. It's trying to find the ghost with us. It's helping us. You can
Oh, this
turn
is
it
a
off so
Russian
you don't
brain
see it.
cell.
This is a Russian hospital.
This was your first horror game?
Could just writing ASMR sip. Yeah, how did it go last
now
night?
you're a nerd at it? Well, that just goes to show you that you really love the game.
Exactly. Alright, check for the ectoplasms in the wall.
You guys have any free horror games for like mobile devices? I do not. I don't play horror games unless I'm playing with friends.
That is the only way you can do horror games.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't draw for us. Okay.
Are you over here?
No draw.
Draw me like one of your French
3.
girls.
I'm gonna put
Okay, this disappeared. It's on 3. What?
a crucifix there.
4?
Me?
This thing's pranking me. It keeps going up and down whenever I change my
1.3
equipment. Are you
million?
kidding me?
Wow. Hello.
What? Hello? Someone was just crawling in the wall. What?
Where's the other crucifix? You want to put in the other hallway?
Which hallway?
Like right here, I guess.
Hey, can you
Wait, where are you?
paint for us?
Here?
Hey, you, can you... Wait, who has
Did I do it?
the spirit box?
Can you draw on this easel? Oh, I do. I have it.
Alright, start talking though.
I've been talking.
Okay, okay.
Can you draw on the easel for us?
The EMF
It's
would go
good,
off
it's
on its
determining
own,
to the
right?
on
It's
what
not
it
a
works and what
button I
doesn't.
need to push.
Are you friendly?
Yeah, I mean, I have one too. I just haven't been able to set it up.
Do you want to play a game?
I don't know how it works on Discord. I don't think it works for Discord, but I think it does work for OBS.
Yeah, even sometimes you need to take a break from your favorite games. I get it.
Want to play hide and seek?
You're gonna lose that. Hey, it's Deadcraft. Welcome in. How you doing? Happy
You think it's maybe
Halloween.
further?
You got it.
It's further down.
Oh, look, there's a cart coming in.
Draw on the
Hey
Oh,
there.
Okay. Oh, okay. It disappeared.
Got any plans for
I think maybe
Halloween?
it's further. Cause I don't see the cold over here, but definitely where you guys are. So maybe it's this corridor.
I mean, I'm getting it right here.
Are you getting it right there?
Yeah.
Are you friendly?
Yeah, I'm also getting it right here.
Oh, there's a cart.
On.
Yeah, don't buy the home interface. It doesn't work on Discord.
Do you want to play a game?
Yeah, that's unlucky.
Oh, good. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. It means you.
Oh.
There's just a
Okay,
bunch of
okay,
blood. It's
okay.
fine.
Oh, okay. Just blood. Whatevs.
Yeah, it's
Hello.
just
Play hide and
it's
seek.
just the shining. Oh, I have EMF 5. EMF 5.
Game
Oh,
at
you got
5?
five?
Yeah, it
Oh,
just EMF 5 for like 1 second. Yeah, right here. Where we're
He
standing.
wants to play games. He wants to play games.
Okay, where did my go? All right, we need fingerprints, easel. Okay, no ESG,
Five.
no ectoplasm, spirit box. Fingerprints, easel, spirit box.
I'm looking for fingerprints. Looking for fingerprints.
EMF 5 right here.
Hello.
So I went down that way. I didn't get any EMF.
We got EMF 5 already.
Making a lot of noises. Oh.
Yeah, we got it right
I
here.
need you. Go away.
So we just need a
I don't see
painting. We need a painting, a spirit box, or fingerprints. So I'm gonna put that there. Hey, can you draw on the painting, Ayub?
Can you draw?
Where's the other crucifix?
Oh, right here.
Oh,
Yeah.
these are like right next to each other.
Oh.
It's Jesus friends.
I'll put it right there.
Jesus and friends. Jesus and friends.
Well, I mean, he was crucified next to 2 people, so.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. 'Cause I wanted to test out the 3DO on Discord first. Man, can you stop putting blood out?
Oh.
Are you
don't see any
having
That must
fun?
have been
fingerprints.
really good.
Do you want to play?
Can you have fingerprints?
Gonna float up your
Yes,
ass.
the ghost if he has fingerprints.
Hey, can
I
you
didn't
touch
see-
something with your fingers?
Yes.
Ayub, touch something. Wait, check the doors too. Like the nearby
Draw
doors nearby.
On the easel?
Right here?
It's hanging out near the end of the hallway.
No, that's just probably events. Because you can have events
Oh.
away from the ghost.
Yeah, it was like whispering in my ear and stuff.
That just means it likes you again.
I'm not interested.
But what if
No
they're
means
interested?
no.
It doesn't want to talk to me, guys.
Did you check these doors over here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
this
gonna
one right
monitor
here.
your heart rate watching this? Oh, that
Yeah.
sounds like fun.
Hello.
No, not that door. This one over here where I'm standing.
Oh. Yeah, I don't see anything on these doors.
Okay, okay.
I don't
Hey,
see
can you
there is
touch
anything.
something or draw on the painting? Alright, let's leave. Everybody leave. Maybe it's a shy ghost. It doesn't want us to see a drawing.
Wanna play hide and seek?
I'm leaving.
Oh.
Leave. She wants to fight the ghost. If you have Steel Seer, you can monitor her there. Oh yeah, I do. I've been using it since you suggested it. Alright, yeah, we have both the cameras on the paintings. So maybe it'll just
Okay,
paint while
wait.
we're gone. Because it's shy. That camera has no light.
Oh no.
Well, I mean, we can still see the drawing. What's our sanity looking like? Wait, it actually looks not too bad. I like it. It's pretty good.
Oh.
I see a ghost event happening at the end of the hallway.
Yeah, it's like one that crawls against the wall.
Now we just wait for him to draw or something. Because we're looking for fingers, easel, or spirit box. Who has a spirit box?
I have it.
Okay, they didn't talk to you. Does anybody else want to try and talk to it? Guess it
Well,
might.
I was
Yeah.
talking to
Are
it on
you-
the Ouija board.
I put it on the ground if you guys want to talk to it. Maybe he wants to talk alone. What does it say? It says, even if someone is next to you, it will respond. Oh, I guess.
Yeah, but it
doesn't
could
matter.
just someone could want, like, it could be like a different person he wants to talk to instead of just you. Like some ghosts
Oh,
only
hey.
reply to certain people.
Alright.
Like Mel. So Mel, you should try talking to it.
I would, but the voice box is gone.
Where's the voice box?
I have it.
I don't
Okay,
know.
I'll drop
All right, well let's all go in. I mean, we're all fine to go in.
Okay.
Thank you for the hydrate, Wisdom. And Nito, I don't know if you're here, but that pizza looks good.
Oh, it did.
Alrighty.
Wait, they're not joining us?
Man, my fingers are hairy. Dirty.
Ayub.
Yo, what's
We still haven't
up?
even gone to the second objective yet.
Size in the house. What's up?
Hey, Ayub, can you paint for us? Can you
Oh, hello.
can you
paint
can you
for us?
draw?
You draw. We have easels laid down for you. You draw on
Do
them.
you know how to draw?
You're 900 something years old. You should be able to draw. 909. Okay.
Alright, I'm gonna
Should
try
be able
and
to
put it
draw.
over here.
It was.
Hey, can you draw on this specific thing?
You draw on this easel over here.
Ayub, can you draw? Can you draw on the easel? Are you French? Can you touch something?
You German. Or you Russian.
Oh, it responded to Russia.
Russian.
Responded to Russian.
Yo,
The
51 Riz.
Soviet Union was a great idea.
Is it responding? Oh,
Communism is the way.
Marxism. Let's go.
it's it responding?
Putin forever.
I believe that. Oh,
Did it respond?
no. I'm not talking to me.
Alright, can I see it? My turn to talk to him.
Yeah, I'll drop it on the floor. Oop, there you go.
Alright. Ayub, are you here? Where are you?
No ectoplasm.
How old are you?
Hey,
How old are you? I heard like a faint noise, but the thing didn't light up. Are you here? Do you want us to be here?
Oh,
Are you French?
are you guys see that? Candles?
Can you draw on the easel?
Candles, just me.
How
Anyone see the
much
candles?
riz do you have? Uh-oh, he didn't like that question. I'm going crazy.
I swear I'm not seeing things. I'm right there. Why are you laughing? I saw candles.
Where are you?
The hell's that?
Are you Russian?
Russian.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Oh,
What's
no,
happening?
Wheelchair.
oh no.
Yo,
no,
huge
no,
IQ.
no,
God.
Oh my god.
Huge IQ next. What's your IQ? Do you like dogs or cats? How old are you?
I found letters.
Are you there? Am I talking to myself? Can you reply? Can you attack Sakura?
What?
Oh! Oh my god, it spawned behind you! Guys!
Oh my god.
We're leaving, we're leaving! Guys, we're leaving! Wait, we got ESG, we got ESG. I asked it to attack Sakura and then it spawned behind him.
Oh.
It was great. It was perfect.
It was
Do you like cheese?
You like jazz?
Oh.
Alright, let's get out of here. Yeah, that was pretty good, Sakura. I just needed to bait the ghost with you. And then it spawned behind you. Alright, let's see what the second objective is.
Nope.
Oh, I mean,
We're
we're already
leaving.
left. We're gone.
We're out of there.
Gone.
So
So ESG. So it's a
Ghost
Jin.
reaction.
What's the Jin do?
it's a din.
It's
It
a
becomes very active. Because it is very active.
Wait,
it
what
will
was the
become
other one? Freezing temps. ESG.
Freezing temps.
EMF.
ESG.
Okay.
Yeah. So it should be a Jin. Where's all the sanity pills at?
I didn't take any yet.
Where's the sanity pills at?
There's 2 right here. Oh, there's 1 now.
Hello?
What?
Did you guys take the sanity pills?
I haven't taken any.
Well, I know Mel did. But where's the other one? We should have
I didn't
4.
take any.
I mean, you can take the other one. That's fine. I don't need it.
You need it. You need that one. We both need it. That's why I'm asking where the third one is.
No, you take it. You take it.
Yeah.
You take it. You take it. Oh, that's fine.
No,
Don't
you need
be
it because
mad.
our average sanity will be
Don't
low.
be mad.
What?
Don't be mad. I took both.
How could you?
Whoa. Okay.
Well, the first time we came back here, I took one, and then the second time we came back here, I took one.
It's because
Alright,
you
I'll-
used that
I'll
Ouija
take- I'll
board.
take that.
It was
That's
me.
fine.
I'm at
All right, I'll take the last one.
Alright, alright.
Oh my god, I'm at 29.
Yeah,
Fine.
that's fine.
Alright.
Alright, so once I do the confirmation, we have to find gun parts and
Oh yeah, that's right.
collect salt bags and perform ritual on the pentagram. So we just had to find those. Are we ready?
No.
Perfect. Let's go.
So we haven't selected what the ghost is yet.
It's a Jin, yeah.
But we did.
The din. Everyone has to select it.
Yeah, I'm waiting till we get to the front door since it's a big building for me to start it.
Okay.
So once I select it, you'll hear a noise. Or every time we complete an objective, you'll hear a noise.
Oh, okay.
So I want us to start it while we're at the door
Is that
instead of
supposed to be
running over in.
Russian?
Yeah, it's Russian. It's a Russian hospital.
Oh, what does that 6 mean?
Communism, let's go!
That's why I said the USSR was a good idea.
I'm
That
gonna.
makes more sense now.
All right, I'm confirming. All right, it started.
Okay.
Find the gun. Once we find the gun parts, you see this right here.
Oh.
This is where we put the gun parts. Oh, you already found
okay.
one. Perfect. All right, we need salt bags, and then we need to find the. Oh, over there. I see something glowing over here. Oh, nice.
You know, I probably should have taken the flashlight.
That's fine.
What do I do with the gun part that I found?
It already goes right there to that table. You see right here? Over here. So once we find all the parts, we'll go here. And we need to grab the gun and shoot the ghost. But we need to the ghost will probably start hunting us when we collect it all, so we have to
Very
make
sweet.
sure we tell everybody that like we're gonna grab the last part.
How
We
many
should have
parts do
probably
you
not
grab?
grabbed the parts over there by the door.
Dang it.
Also, we should turn the lights off.
How are you gonna
Cause
take the parts?
cause it's easier to see because they're gonna be glowing.
Oh, okay.
Alright, let's check through those corners over there
Oh,
first.
there's a piece down there. Whatever it is.
Oh, here's
Oh.
one right here.
We need to find the pentagram. Oh, don't grab that one, Soccer. Don't grab the one next to the ghost room.
This one will be the last one.
We need to find the pentagram first. Let's do those first, and then let's grab the gun. Alright, cool.
Oh, wait.
Is it hunting? Did you guys get a growl?
I
Yeah.
did get a growl.
I saw a lady right in my face.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
right above me.
If we go back, if we see a ghost, we gotta start looping it.
It's coming! It's coming!
It's hunting. It's hunting.
It's hunting!
This is a dead end. This is a dead end, guys. Wait, we gotta loop it. We gotta loop it. Loop it in the bathroom,
We loop it. How do
or
we
loop it by the curtain over there.
Who?
What's going on? What's
We
going
have
on?
the ghost is coming. Once it comes in here, we gotta like loop around it to the left. If it even knows we're here.
I hope not.
Well, I can't see. Sakura's head keeps getting in the way.
I wish I could jump.
Maybe it didn't see us. All right,
Oh,
let's get out. Yeah, maybe we lost line of sight when we went behind the current. Yeah, but that growl usually means it's hunting.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, that
He's
growl.
hunting again.
But where is he? Do you see him?
I don't see him.
There he is. There he
Oh,
is.
look, he's
In
just
front of me.
he's stomping. Look at him. He doing little stomps. All right, we just gotta loop him behind this curtain. All right, we ready?
Oh, he walked away.
No, he's coming.
Oh no, he's not.
Run, run, run!
Oh, bye, guys.
No!
I think he got Mel.
All right, we gotta be quick. We gotta be quick. We gotta get the other parts.
It's fine.
We gotta get the other parts.
I grabbed
Don't grab that one right there.
the poster.
Don't grab it. Okay.
Yeah, right here by this door. We'll grab that last.
Yeah.
Oh, there's one right here. Okay.
I probably should have told y'all. I grabbed a piece.
Jan, I just grabbed another piece. There was
Yep.
one right here. I grabbed
Just keep
one,
grabbing it, and
then-
we still need to find the crucifix. It's probably in the basement.
I'm down here, but I don't have a flashlight.
It's fine.
Oh my goodness.
It's behind
It's
you.
hunting. It's hunting. It's hunting. It's behind me. It's behind me. It's
Oh
behind me.
gosh.
This is the worst room to... Alright, if we're quiet, it can't see us. Turn off your flashlights.
I lied. It's not coming through the door.
Oh, okay.
If it starts coming this way, we have to loop it.
It's not in here.
It's not? Okay. Upstairs?
No. Yeah, it's upstairs.
Is it still upstairs?
Yeah.
Oh,
Tell us when
there
it's coming down.
Oh, there it is. Where you going, little guy? Wait, where'd you go?
Is he gone? I don't see the thing, so it's probably...
is.
He stopped away.
Can we open this door all the way?
I mean, I'm back in the hallway and I don't see him.
Okay.
Alright, let's go check upstairs. There's like no hiding spots.
Ow.
Oh, here's the pentagram.
Ow.
How do we perform it?
We all just stand here?
I'm hearing a counter.
I do too.
What does that mean?
I have no idea. Let's just find out.
Me moo boo boo boo.
Just
boo, boo.
circle around it, soccer.
Ba, ba, boo, ba. Ba, beep, boo, boo,
Oh yeah,
boo.
I think it's being completed.
Ba, 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 beep, boo, boo.
I hope that clicking sound is y'all.
Ba, ba, I'm
Okay,
forming a
it's
ritual.
completed.
Okay, I think it's done. Okay. Let's find the last few parts. Okay, last time I saw that, I thought we were about to die, so we kind of just left the... we kind of just left the building. Guess we thought it was a countdown to, like, us dying.
Yeah.
It sounds like a countdown.
Alright, there may be one last item, which is that
Yeah, it might
thing
be
by the door
downstairs.
downstairs. So let's get that
Yeah.
and then run to the front door.
Okay.
Alright, Sakura, take lead.
Me.
Yeah. Alright, so it should be to the door on the right. Right there.
Right there.
Run to the front.
Look at this. Run. Run.
I didn't hear the noise of the gun complete.
But we
We
can
may
see
be
how
missing
far-
another part.
Nope. I think so.
Oh, can someone pick it up? Oh, we can pick it up. Alright, someone pick it up. Alright,
Okay,
get
pick
ready
it
to
up.
shoot the ghost.
Wait, how do
Don't
I
miss.
shoot this thing?
Left click. Go towards the ghost. Go forward. Take lead.
Oh.
We're watching you. If you die, Better not die. Don't
Stay
miss.
next to the crucifix, right?
No, it's hunting even with the crucifix. She gotta shoot
Oh,
it.
really?
Mel, where's the ghost?
It hasn't shown itself yet.
Alright, Sakura,
are
get back
you?
then. Just chill here. This is where it spawns. What do you mean it hasn't showed up yet?
Yeah, he is. Oh, there he is.
Alright, Sakura,
Is
get
that
him.
Where is he?
No, that's
Well,
the
no,
that's
that's
the
not-
table.
I'm sorry, that's not him. That's the green.
Damn, you would have shot that table.
Oh, I
Oh,
hear
it's
him.
hunting.
I hear him.
I hear him.
It's in front of us, in front of us. Right there, right there. Alright, Sakura, shoot him.
Shut up. Shut up.
We did it, look at it.
We exercised the ghost.
Yeah, that's America.
We did it!
Ghost bullet.
Can I shoot again?
Hey!
Oh.
Damn.
Ghost was scared of freedom. And we won. I don't know if we can die from that, but it's a good thing we have unlimited ammo. I mean, it's ghost bullets, we're not ghosts, so
Oh.
we did it.
If I remember anything from the TV show Supernatural, they're just salt pellets.
Yeah, that's what we grabbed the salt bags for.
Oh.
We did it. Nobody
You
died.
identify the ghosts 3 times. Oh, wow. Nice, nice.
2,000 money.
Level 2.
Did it!
Game's too easy.
We did it!
I feel like salt pellets would still hurt. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. We're rich. Not really. That buys us like
Sure.
2 items. Well, that wasn't too bad. Those are like the starting starting 3 houses. The other ones are harder, especially because I don't know what to do in them.
Yeah, let's do those. That was a good tutorial.
Which one? There's a Japanese one. There's a funeral. There's the haunted school, a
Let's
farmhouse.
go to Kurosawa. I heard it was pretty nice.
All right, going to Kurosawa.
I got my passport ready. Let's go.
Are y'all gonna buy anything new?
I changed my shirt. I'm ready to go.
Okay, I was about to ask like if you bought anything new. There we go.
Oh, I didn't even check. Let me go look real quick. I have 50 smackaroonies.
All right, I'm gonna buy a salt barrier because I don't know anything about this place. Sucker, I added as much as I can. I'm gonna be disappointed if it's not black and white. I'll just add a filter right now to the game. It'll be black and white.
No.
How do I add a filter? Let's see. That did not work.
There you go. This makes it better.
Is this it? I don't know how to OBS filter.
Okay,
are you trying to do?
That's all I could add.
Trying to add a black and white filter on my screen.
Oh.
None of it works. I'm sorry I got pranked. I should probably delete all these that I will not be using.
Oh, the amount of money I have.
There we go. All right, are we ready?
Yeah. Let me over. Let me ready up. My bad.
Can we get one more UV light? So we can have double the UV checking?
Let's see. UV. Okay.
Alright, let's go to Japan.
Oh.
Konnichiwa, hajime mashite.
Konnichiwa. I was muted. Konnichiwa.
Hajime mashite.
Omae wa Sakura. Alright, I got the glass.
UV, I got the.
Yeah, I'll join you with the UV. Alright, are we ready?
I also
No,
got
you ready?
I was fixing stuff on my Twitch.
No worries.
Hey, do you know what this compass does?
What compass?
This compass.
Oh, you look at it to see.
Oh, that's the ectoplasm. Yeah, you look through it. You hold left click.
Oh, that's why I didn't see anything.
That's why I usually want the lights to be closed, because they're a lot easier to spot, because they're just glowing stains in the walls.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Hajimemashite.
Alright, we're going in. Mel, we'll see you in there.
Time. Just fixing something.
Alright, here we go. We're in Japan.
You gotta make sure you take off your shoes, guys. They're very disrespectful for having your shoes.
I'm barefoot. I don't even have shoes.
Oh, nice, perfect. Okay, so just star. Super disrespectful.
Damn.
Disrespectful. Dang. Disrespect.
Disrespect.
Oh, heads. Hello. Oh, fuck.
What are you talking about? There's nothing here.
Okay.
I know. I think he's saying things.
I think the ghosts may like you. That probably means you're targeted.
Oh.
Because we didn't see anything. Ghost is gonna focus Sakura because of the shoes. Oh, wait, but... Yeah, but Sai walked in first, so he had the first shoes. So that's probably why you're getting haunted.
I've been walking around barefooted.
Well, he didn't see that.
Upstairs?
Upstairs.
Nothing.
Just fun little things.
I was about to say, I think the
Oh,
EMF
nice
is a good
Three.
thing.
I think
3?
downstairs.
Alright, let's check downstairs.
Three. I think it's downstairs.
Oh.
Right
Looks.
in this corner.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Or,
Alright. Okay.
So what time is it?
yeah, I think it's downstairs.
It's a good thing Sakura missed it. Yeah, let's go downstairs.
Oh, here it is.
Or,
Oh.
Is it downstairs or is it here?
Downstairs?
It's in here,
Where are you?
guys. I
We're
don't know.
coming.
I think it's over here. Yeah.
We got 4 upstairs.
It's in here.
Oh.
It's
Kaku
marked up.
Renbo? What's the
So, yeah,
EMF?
3 here. 3.
Hungry?
All 3. What? What'd you do?
Yeah, no to negative temps.
Passive was hungry.
Oh.
Thank you. Enjoy.
Sweeteners.
the meal.
You just threw something.
That's a 10.
Hi, bro. Welcome in. That was a 10. There hasn't been that many jump scares. Wait, it didn't work? Kaku Renbo? I'm saying it with a very heavy accent. That's probably why it's not working.
What are you trying to say?
How you doing? Kaku Renbo.
A cool rainbow?
Yeah. Wait, I thought you guys were doing the little nightmares. Is that not... Did you already finish? Necro?
There's nothing.
Oh, they're
else
done?
to do.
I don't know. I don't even know if they started. Oh, it's a 9. I see. That makes more sense. Well, it's soon. Y'all gotta speedrun that game.
The door won't open.
Oh.
Yeah, we have to do some stuff before we can open.
Shit, what the fuck was that?
I don't know. You like teleported behind me.
Oh my god, that was scary.
Oh, treasure chest.
Open sesame.
Now it's just scary.
Didn't work.
Was. I'm scared.
Alright, let's go back to that ghost room.
Ugh.
Okay, ghost room.
Yes, Rebe's here.
Thank you very much,
Oh my god! Did you hear that bird?
I heard.
That was a mouse.
Yeah, it was like a
Oh.
mouse. What?
Wait, who turned on the lights in here?
I didn't.
Not me.
So
Or-
the ghost likes the light. Let's turn that off. No light for you.
Hungry?
What would ectoplasm look like?
It's just like a glowing stain in the wall.
Oh, babies!
Oh.
Dead babies!
Okay,
babies.
it's here.
Oh, right here,
Yeah.
fingerprints. Right here, fingerprints. It touched the wall.
Oh,
We got fingered.
nice.
Oh, you got fingerprints.
Wait,
Cool,
did I
cool,
just hear it talk? Who has the spirit box?
Maybe.
Fingerprints.
Anybody got
The
spirit
EMF
box?
never went up to 5, right?
No.
Yeah, it has to be
Okay,
number five.
let's get out of here. Let's get out of here.
Okay, I put
Drop
the
your
camera
stuff.
there.
Drop all your stuff here. Because we're gonna come back for it. But I just want to get us the crucifix before we start investigating. Might jump and kill Mel again instantly.
Hey! I did nothing to you, but harassed you.
But you have shoes on.
Yeah. You have shoes on? You have shoes on? Oh my gosh. In a temple? Oh my goodness.
Oh wow, wait, Mel, your sanity is very low already than the rest of us.
Well, I was in there way longer than y'all.
Oh, it only answers to people who are alone. Sufjan Fleming. Alright, let's get the drawings, the camera, and the salt barrier.
Sufjan Fleming. That doesn't sound like a Japanese name.
Can someone
so
get
just 'cause
the
it's Japanese, it can't hot in Japanese area.
I mean, it's kind of weird.
Well, what if
It's
a
in that
foreigner
temple.
dies over here?
Yeah, what if like he was praying because he believed in the Buddha?
He believes in the Buddha.
Can someone grab the crucifixes and
You're
the
right.
camera?
Yeah.
What's this pocket watch for, anyways?
It just tells you the time. It's not needed for this map,
Oh.
so we don't have to. We don't need it.
I'll drop this down and I'll grab the other crucifix. So I got 2 crucifix.
Yeah. Can you grab the camera or the easel? Grab the camera. Because I have the easel. Oh, perfect. All right, let's go.
Okay.
I have this salt barrier. I can put it down if we stand in it when the ghost hunts. It'll protect us.
Oh, nice.
Are you sure?
That's what the description says. I paid $3,000 for this.
Or the sea salt.
I need you,
And
sea
then
salt.
if I die in your salt circle.
What? No. A very confusing
You
Grim
actually trapped the
Reaper rolls
ghost.
up.
You actually trapped the ghost.
Yeah, he's like, wait a minute. Alright, right here. I'm gonna put the thing here right below us. Right at this door.
Can I put
There
a
you go.
crucifix there?
Hello?
Hello?
Hello.
What's up?
I got spirit box.
It spoke already?
Spirit box?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so what else do we need? So we already have 2. We can narrow down the other
What evidence is that?
spirit box.
Spirit
Spirit
box.
Oh, at the bottom.
It says
or,
spirit
Yeah,
box?
response.
I can't
So
read.
fingerprints, spirit box.
You love
and
this
that's
game?
about
This
it.
is my first time playing it.
Fingerprint.
We can need easel, freezing temps, ESG. Ectoplasm stains cannot be found.
Enjoy
EMF 5
your meal.
cannot be found.
Oh, it's right next. Oh.
Wait, where's the crucifix? Did you drop it?
Nope. Nope.
Yeah, I dropped them. I dropped one by in
where's-
front of the door.
Where's the other one?
The other one by the
It
other
says
door.
Enjoy your meal right
What,
by
what
the
other
table.
door?
Eat.
This door right here. This door.
Oh. So you can put it more inside.
What does it
Oh,
say?
okay.
Hungry?
Like right
Yeah.
here by the hungry. Because
Oh,
it's like a circle.
Oh.
That's just
wow.
outside. It's just an event.
Oh.
It
Yeah,
keeps
just
breaking
thank
stuff.
you.
Alright.
I really haven't been.
So we needed to draw. We needed to get an ESG.
Excuse me.
The ghost
I'm
is
gonna take that
calling.
title.
You guys hear that? There's a phone call.
Sorry, my fur turned on my phone and was on TikTok.
What?
I'm sorry.
Who has the temperature?
Oh, I did. It didn't get below 10 pause, like 10, just normal 10.
Yeah, but it could still get colder soon.
Oh my god.
Wait, did you leave it over there?
A solid 2.
All right, let's leave. Turn the light off. Turn the light off. Let's go. Let's leave.
You turn it off or turn it back on?
No, keep it on so we can see, because the camera doesn't have night vision. Sakura, let's go. Sometimes it can only show up in an ESG when no one's there.
Interesting.
So we're just gonna chill in the van and check our sanity because it's probably very low because it did a bunch of like throwing objects at us. There's a frog. All right, we're gonna check the camera. Why is this one looking at a at a wall? Who put that camera down?
Listen here.
What? What are you watching here, Sakura?
It's floating books.
Oh,
Moving.
that pillow. Y'all saw that? Oh, the pillow sliding.
Yep.
All right, now we just wait here and See if it doesn't. That camera's facing the wrong way. You can see it from this one.
Well, maybe you should make it better.
Yeah, you should fix it.
Maybe the ghost moved it that way.
Oh,
yeah,
you're
maybe
right.
the ghost did.
How's our sanity looking? Wait, why is mine the lowest now? Ansai.
I took medicine.
That makes sense.
I saw ghosts. Lots of ghosts.
I talked to one. How are you? He said, I'm not leaving here ever. And I'm like, okay.
Well, I guess we gotta exercise him.
Oh my gosh, a foreigner squatting in a poor Japanese house. Oh, unbelievable.
These guys want to leave.
And I was like, how did you die? He's like, I'm not leaving. And I'm
I
like,
didn't die. He's still alive. He's just using the radio. He's talking to you. He's upstairs somewhere. We gotta find him. Or he's probably in that locked room.
Oh yeah, probably.
Alright, I think we may have to move the thing around. Because the dude ain't showing up in the ESG.
Okay.
And we gotta fix that camera.
Yeah, you gotta fix that camera.
No, you fix that camera.
You fix it.
You fix it. You put that camera down.
I put both of them down.
No, I put one down. I corrected one. It's just a weeb who's overstaying his visa and doesn't want to go home. Exactly. We need to kick him out. Send him back home.
Look at it.
Hey, what's up, lady?
Excuse me. I'm not
Who has the ESG
I've
key?
come for your pickle.
in here.
Mochi! Thank you for the pickle. How you doing? Happy Halloween. You have any plans today? Hey, can you draw on these paintings? If you draw on them, I'll give you a high five.
I got a candle.
Nice.
It's a surprise story.
Yo, you don't have a Toto bathroom in here.
No,
let
just
me know.
work. I'm tired from Vegas trip. Oh, hello there. Well, I hope the Vegas trip went well.
It's still at 10.
Okay.
Is
Oh,
that a
don't
song?
kill me.
What the hell is that? What was that?
It said I'm gonna
will-
kill you.
Oh.
Well, you gotta...
It said I'm going to kill you.
Hey, can you draw on these paintings?
3.
What the heck?
What?
Yo, your EMF is only 2 or 3. You're kind of weak, ghost.
EMF,
I know.
EMF, we don't need EMF.
Alright, well, he's only at 3, so I'm gonna...
Yeah, if you mark the EMF thing as the ghost, there's no ghost that has it, so that means it can't be EMF.
You haven't done it. You haven't done it. You want to do something?
Oh, what?
Here.
What?
Want to drop inside? Yeah,
Oh,
thank you for ESG. We got ESG.
We got ESG.
Yeah, it just spawned behind you again.
What is this?
I'm going away. I'm going this way.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for stopping by. Hope you have a good
What am I gonna
Halloween.
do with it?
Well, first warn us all, and then.
We got ESG. We can go back to the thing.
Oh.
Yeah, that's it. That's the ESG reaction. Thank you for the iPads.
Click on it. Alright.
Alright, it's hunting. Come this way.
Okay. Can I drop this?
Did you hit the heart?
On it.
I clicked on it, yeah.
Did it hit the heart?
Oh, no.
Okay,
There
well
you
stop
go.
clicking on it. Stop clicking on it. It's
Stay
hunting
in the
now.
circle. Stay in the circle.
It's a
It's like that
clown.
SpongeBob episode.
You're a clown.
I think you just passed us.
You can't see us in the circle. We're invisible.
It protected us from one attack, so we're good to go back.
Aha.
But now it's weaker, thanks, Sakura.
What?
It's 100% chance the first time, and then 66 chance the second time. So you made us use one barrier. Alright, Sakura, you can do the last part. Objective.
Last part.
Thank you for trying for the jump scare, Wiser. The last part, the
Trying.
second objective.
It didn't work.
No. It's a poltergeist.
That's yeah.
I mean, yeah, it did throw a lot of objects.
Alright, cool. Confirm.
They'll calm down when there's nothing left to throw. You just gotta get all the objects out of there. Alright, what's our objective? Find the katanas and put them back in their place.
It's trying to make a statement.
Ooh, what's that white stuff on the camera?
Hey yo.
That's
Just
a
saying,
good
there's bunch of white
question.
stuff that's just flying around in the camera. I'm just saying.
It's flying around. Wait,
that what
it's one of the objectives. We have to collect the ghost orb. If you guys look at the left side,
It's not
Nice.
semen.
it's a ghost orb.
Okay.
Find the katanas. Solve the mystery. Collect the ghost
Oh.
orbs. Okay.
You should take pills. You don't have anything.
Yeah, I will
Oh,
also
me?
take a pill.
Oh, I have 1%. That's good enough. 1%
Alright,
is
so I think
higher
we're
than
good for
0%. Oh,
now,
it's
and
0.
then
Never mind.
find the items bound to the ghost and incinerate the ghost's corpse. That's the last step. I don't know how to do that. Alright, let's go find some katanas and ghost orbs. And the mystery of the
Yeah.
paintings, whatever that means.
This ghost is 100% a weeaboo.
Yeah, he wants us to get his katana and then put it back.
I know.
That's a ghost orb, the giant floating ball.
I love white people taco night.
White people
Ghost
taco.
orb.
Oh, hi.
How do we
Oh,
get it?
oh,
How do we
hello.
collect it?
How do I pick?
That's a great
We just
question,
let it-
guys.
Go through our
do I
body.
Spam E
grab
on
it?
it. Spam E on it.
Spam E.
It passed us.
Oh,
I
oh,
grabbed
you
one.
got
I
it.
grabbed one.
Did you spam E on it?
Yeah, I spammed D.
Okay, we just completely missed them. Can't aim. Oh,
I
nice, you got a
found
katana.
Ooh, I have the katana. It is the
You can
rabbit
fight the
katana.
ghost with that. That is a joke. Don't try to fight it. Hello? I'm
Let's
stuck.
put the
What?
katana somewhere.
Come here. Wait, I got the bear. Wait, the katana has a symbol on it.
Yes, I have the rabbit katana.
I have the bear katana.
Oh, the rabbits stuff I think were upstairs. I don't remember, but
Wait, don't. No, isn't the swords over here on this side on the left? The sword should be over here. On that end right there. Because I think we have to open this door.
Owl.
Oh, there they are. Yeah.
Yeah, see?
Oh, rabbit.
I got the bear. So we need one more katana.
We got one more katana, which is the owl.
Found it. It's right here.
Perfect.
Oh, nice.
Did the ghost just sneeze? I heard that. Bless you. Oh, it's open. Oh, it's a painting
Mysterious.
picture puzzle.
What do these mean?
We gotta solve the painting puzzle. You can pick it
I'm
up.
getting high. I'm getting high. I'm getting high.
Fix the puzzle.
The
Grab the puzzle.
Okay.
You can turn them over, guys. You have to put them in the right way.
Oh. Oh.
Hey, how do I
Oh.
turn them off?
Sugoi.
E and those buttons. Would bless you be a good or bad thing for a ghost?
Oh,
That's a great question. Let's ask it in the Ouija board. Did we
Is that
finish
the
it?
right way for that
There's
one? I
Oni
can't
mask
tell. I
on
can't
this
tell
thing right here. Honestly, I can't tell which one is correct on this one.
Yeah, I can't tell.
I'm gonna
the
guess it's this
skull
side.
one.
I think
Also, what's
Yeah,
the
this
belly?
one can actually just go in
Yeah,
any
well-
direction.
Are they in the house that we can see?
Maybe. Let's look around.
Unless there's more paintings that we have to rotate, maybe? I don't know.
I think I've seen that painting, so they are in the house. Like the dude sitting. It's in the ghost room. Oh, right here. Look, see?
Oh, there's that. Wait, that one.
Oh,
Oh, shoot. It's hunting. It's hunting.
There's no hiding spot here, guys. I'm gonna close the door. Oh. Alright.
Die.
Whoever gets chosen dies.
Okay, Okay,
I was
so
about to
this
say,
one
maybe
is
we should not be in front of the line of sight.
Sideways.
Yeah,
supposed to be
Yeah.
sideways. Okay.
the other side way, this way.
Oh,
Alright, let's
Where's
go.
Mel?
find them.
I'm pretty sure there's one in the ghost room. I saw the painting there.
Oh, are you still alive?
No.
Oh. What happened?
I turned the light on.
Where are you?
Yeah, right there, right
Oh,
there.
this
See?
one's sideways too. Okay, this one's sideways.
Oh, that one's that
Okay.
one's sideways
I'll
too.
go change it. I'll go change it.
Okay.
Sure, nothing will happen. Like, go on one sec.
Oh goodness.
Barrier, barrier, barrier.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, come at us. This is your fault, Saga. You did that. Yeah, the barrier failed. Tell him to leave.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just leaving. That you wasted our barrier song. Hello? Why did that door just open? I'll wait outside. Sakura lost the 66%.
It was me who opened the door. Mwahaha.
That was a good one. You
Yeah.
did not get
I
me
was
at all.
planning on trying to scare y'all, but it didn't work out.
That's impossible for me. Sakura's
What?
dead. Yeah, we're just gonna leave. We don't
Is
have any
that-
more barrier.
Wait, am I the only one dead?
Yeah,
Oh,
this is karma because you wasted a barrier on us the first time. You did this to you.
thank you for the follow. Thank you so much. Welcome to the channel.
You guys didn't want to find the rest of the stuff?
Sakura, that thing haunted us while the crucifix were there. Nah. I think I'm good staying
How come I can
alive.
see you when you're dead though. That's weird.
Wait, what? You're cheating.
I saw her.
Guys, we did it. Nobody died.
Hi, baby. Come here. No one's giving you any attention. I know.
Happy Halloween. My name is Bonsai. We go inside. Well,
Sakura, why did you waste our salt barrier?
what's up, Sarah?
You did this to you.
It's cyanide.
I was muted the whole time. I was talking to nobody again.
It happens a lot, huh?
It does. Sakura, it is your fault you died. You wasted
it's
the
weird, I
barrier the
can
first
see you.
time.
Nah.
It was a very
I thought I was
educational.
gonna die, but I was
piece of
hiding it.
voodoo. I was just hiding in that one room. Yeah, you had like a weird skull over your head, and that's why I was like, why do you have a skull over your head?
It's because she died.
Yeah, and then you were like, everyone's dead, and I thought these two were ghosts at the front door. I was like, oh gosh.
Yeah, by
No,
everybody,
I was
she
trying to
meant
scare y'all,
herself.
but it didn't work.
Runs to me. Everyone's dead. It's just her.
I did say that.
Everybody's dead, guys. Nobody's alive.
I thought everyone was dead.
Everyone point and boo. You died. You died.
That's really what no one answered.
Are we
Oh,
doing
Sarah.
another one? I can do one more before I have to go.
Yeah, I'm good
Yeah, I
with
can
doing
do
one more too.
Yeah, we can do one more,
That's
fine.
yeah, we can do the last one. You want to go to funeral? Haunted school?
Yeah.
Farmhouse?
Let's go to the funeral home. Let's do
There's
it.
also an
Sounds good too.
There's also an insane asylum. Which
Uh,
one?
Ooh.
All right, heads or tails?
Tails.
Heads.
All right, it's in between school. Home.
Go back to. Oh, okay. Home.
Funeral. We're going to funeral. Sakura, did you put all the stuff in here?
I'm trying.
Stream for 2 to 3 hours.
We need another EMF and EC.
go ahead and get. Not a lot of clothes.
What is it?
Okay, I put it for a second.
You ready?
Yep, I'm ready. I'm readied up. I ready
Waiting
up.
on Psy.
Oh,
Yep.
my bad. My bad.
Wait, Sakura, we only have one crucifix. We are not ready. What do you mean we're
Oh,
ready?
okay.
I can't buy a crucifix. You're gonna have to buy it.
Damn.
Can I buy a crucifix? I can buy one.
Oh, okay, can you put it in?
Yes.
Press the arrow. You press
Yep,
the arrow.
there we go. Alright. Then we need you to ready up.
We're not playing on hard. We're just playing on easy. Oh man.
We're dying on easy, but
We.
What you? What's the stream avatar look like? The stream avatar?
we are French. Kevin Mendoza. I know that guy. He works.
Turn off the glow.
Works at my place.
I am. That's what I should.
Find the gas can. What is this long exorcism?
I keep you with my podcast background for the whole drive. Oh, you're driving to work? Oh man.
Wait, is this the?
Name is
Oh, it's
Kevin
this
Mendoza.
house. Damn.
Kevin Mendoza. Oh man.
Kevin Mendoza.
Tucker, you already know how to do this one, so you'll lead. Take lead.
I do?
It's the funeral home.
I do.
Oh! Oh, this one. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe so.
I
Maybe.
had to do-
I thought it was a different map. Let's check upstairs.
Oh, check downstairs. Oh.
It's in here.
Okay, there was just a lady that flashed me over there.
What's in here? Where are you? Mal?
Marco!
I'm right
Where's
here
it?
in front of your face.
Oh,
I
my
opened this
face.
door
Oh.
and it screamed.
That doesn't mean it's
Oh,
here.
this one- Yeah,
That's just an event.
yeah. Say the
Oh.
name.
I opened the door and it went roar and I went, oh no.
Oh, just like that.
That could be any door.
I really did it for
Oh,
Doc,
no.
though. I kind of just stood there like, okay.
Not that one. It says you're a stream avatar.
Let's go check upstairs again.
Yeah.
Watch out, there might be a lady that's gonna flash you.
Oh, it's for a program. I currently have it off right now.
Oh my goodness. I hate that.
Did you get flashed?
Oh, hello.
Yeah, I got all sorts of stuff.
Yes, I have it off right. Oh,
It's a different kind of flash. That happened to me in real life.
I have 4 up here. 4.
I got 2 downstairs.
I have
So
4
it's probably up here because it's a stronger EMF.
Oh yeah.
Oh, plasm in the wall. Ectoplasm. Alright, I'm dropping that. Guys, it might be this room.
Where's upstairs?
Yeah, there's upstairs. Did you close that door? Do you have a UV light? Hello? Is my mic on?
Me?
Anybody? Because it just touched the door.
No.
Alright, I'm gonna get a UV light.
Oh.
You have UV light?
We're not getting
Yeah,
Oh, I have
touch
one.
fingerprints.
I have
We already have 2 evidence.
one, yeah. Oh yeah.
We have ectoplasm and fingies.
Ectoplasm.
What the? He's playing dart, bro. He's just showing off. He got like 3 bullseye.
Show it off.
Wow.
So we need freezing temps, ESG,
But yeah, once I get the avatar broken back up again after.
and
the
EMF.
stream,
Okay.
you can pick your avatar. Just don't know. Alright.
We don't need painting. We
Green.
need ESG, freezing temps, and EMF 5. So let's.
Oh,
Go to
put those on
freezing
the floor.
temps.
You got freezing temps?
No.
No.
Yeah, we're just waiting.
Oh.
If you want to get back and get the crucifix, we can.
Yeah. Oh, a cat
The fuck? There's a cat where?
ran across me. Oh, that's cute.
Spoilers.
What kind of cat is it?
That was an orange one.
I'll turn all the light on here. Hello? What's Slytherin over here?
Hey Sakura, did you check this room?
Which room?
This pink one?
Damn, she screamed.
Crucifix, and then the trapper. Do you want the other camera?
I think we're good.
Okay.
We only need one camera. We just need to see the ESG.
Okay.
Everybody's sanity looks good to be safe. We don't need spirit box. Yeah, we need EMF, 5, freezing temps, ESG ghost reactions. So that's the only thing we need.
Going back in with the ghost trapper. Oh gosh, I don't know why that startled me.
Cadaver using UV light, ectoplasm, and crucifix. Oh, I don't have one. Yeah, forget the flashlight. I don't need that. I'll put the crucifix and the ectoplasm glass where we're gonna be exercising at the end.
Rapping in my ear.
You tell him to stop.
Hey. Where are you guys?
We're coming. We're coming.
I left.
Yep, we're all coming. We're coming. Hold on, 1 second. Yeah, we don't need painting.
What did you say we needed?
Oh, we already got everything
Oh.
in
Wait,
there.
what was the
We just
last
have to
thing?
wait. No, we just have to wait.
Oh,
Oh,
for
okay.
this, I have to figure out if the person's a girl or a guy, though. So depending.
Yeah,
on
that's
the
why you have to go back in. I'm putting the other equipments for the exorcism where we need to go later.
I put one of the crucifix up there.
Oh, we have to stay in the room. Let's go.
Oh, we have to.
Well, we gotta find out what it is.
Oh, our sanity's pretty good.
Yo.
Ooh,
Hey?
You start playing the guitar. Oh,
Are you trying to serenade me? Because it's working.
well, not. He stopped serenading as soon as we walked in.
Oh, dang it.
I think that was for
I've
me.
been serenading you.
Guys, it's freezing temps.
What?
Yeah, I told you. You just have to wait. I got smoke breath as soon as I walked in.
freezing temps into Agashi.
Okay, so as soon as we started, we gotta find the gas can.
Wait, did we need
You
the
broomies?
yet?
No, that's why I said let's walk back in and let's chill inside. Let's go. Everybody get back inside. Good luck in your drive, Nix. Let me know when you're home.
Agashi.
Alright, so I'm not gonna lock in yet, so we can all just chill here and see if you can hear the voice of the ghost. Will do, thank you.
Hear music.
Has it spoken to any of you yet?
It's just been growling.
Yo, we can't
Making
really
very
tell
nice music.
what the ghost is based on that.
It's a DJ.
Oh,
Hello, ghost. Talk to us.
ghost, can you?
Are you a male or female?
Are you a they or them?
Not make it hard.
Hey.
Hey,
Oh.
they're talking.
What, they spoke?
Yeah.
Oh no, it was music.
Oh.
Alright, I need to turn my music down because I won't be able to hear him.
It was serenading again.
Are you a they or them? Oh, there it goes again.
A Diogen?
The music.
Oh my god, look.
What?
They're sitting on an elephant.
Oh my god, they're in Thailand.
Oh, that book's moving. That was scary.
Whoa. There's people sitting down right there.
Dang.
My phone's
That's
low
okay.
battery.
No, the most terrifying thing is that this bed isn't made properly.
It could also be rust. You know, you don't want to get that's pretty rusty.
The covers?
No, the bed frame. Look how rusty it is.
Alright,
Nope,
Saku, how do we figure out who to exercise later?
can get tetanus from this.
So depending on the gender of the ghost, there's dead bodies that will open up.
Oh.
Oh.
I'm
all the
glowing.
monsters right behind y'all just decided to do a dance.
And then
The dead bodies will say female or
You think? What? What you say?
what?
um.
What voice is
That
that?
wasn't me.
Is that a
See,
male
I
or?
don't know. It usually laughs. It usually laughs if
Oh.
male or male voice. We might have to step out. Oh,
Uh-oh.
we might have to step out. Sometimes it likes it to do it like when we go walking out.
Okay, let's just walk around then.
But it should be
Alright.
a laugh.
Oh.
Okay, never mind. Never mind. Never
Is
mind.
that a hunt? Guys, it's hunting.
That's
It's
the
coming,
most
it's
calm
coming.
I've heard you.
What?
This whole stream, that's the calmest I've heard you.
Me?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a hunting.
behind me.
It's chasing you?
behind- Oh shit.
Right here. Are you dead? Right here.
I'm not dead yet, but it's
You
probably
can
behind
chill
me,
here
so
in this closet.
my flashlight's flickering.
Hey Mel, where'd you go?
I get perked.
Your mom's house.
Where?
Oh. Away?
Is it gone?
I think so. Oh, hey.
I hear it.
Sound like it's gone.
Door's open. I outrun it.
Alright, come back this way.
Teehee.
You're out of.
Come over here where I'm at, if you guys can hear me.
Wait.
Where are you?
I'm over here.
Oh.
So once we
Downstairs,
find the
fine.
gas can, we go in here. So I'm gonna put the
Okay.
circle here. Alright, I'm gonna activate a gash. Alright, now we need to find the gas can.
Okay,
Oh.
okay.
We use these
Gas
3
can is
items on the
down.
ground to figure out what it is.
We gotta-
It's on the ground somewhere.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, right here. So I'll grab these 3. Let me see.
we have to go in
We
there.
also have a timer, by the way.
Yeah, we have 5 minutes, or we're all gonna die.
Oh.
Oh. All of us? Even if we're outside?
Yeah, well, I don't know actually.
Well, just find the gas can and head back in here.
What that means, just leave the house.
Find the gas can.
Let these two handle it.
Find the gas can. The gas can's not in here. I'm looking for the right body. What the hell does that stain mean? What the? I'm confused.
I am confusion.
Sakura, you figure this out. I don't know what I'm doing.
You found a gas can!
Alright, get in.
Okay, now we have
Alright.
to. Wait, who has UV light and who has
Everything's
UV
in here, Sakura. Just look at the ground.
Okay. Okay, so we have to match. We have to match things. So let's see. What? Wait, I think it was female.
Okay.
What's that?
Oh shoot.
It's hunting. I'm gonna run into the circle. The circle right here.
Okay. Female. Wait, where's the crucifix? Oh shoot.
You keep doing that, Sakura. We'll be here. It should stop the hunt.
Okay.
Stop right there. Wait, which
Stop
way? Which way does it come from? It should be from the left, right here, right?
Mm.
It should be coming from that way. That's the staircase. It just walks past us and kills Sakura.
I almost called her
there.
Rosemary a minute ago.
Okay.
Hello.
There we go. All right, that's 1.
Done?
Don't tell her I said that.
Alright, what we doing?
Is that it?
Scratch. Okay, 1 scratch. Hold on. 2 scratches. 2 scratches. I need the ecto. Where's the ecto?
On the ground.
Oh my goodness, we're gonna die. We're gonna die. We're gonna die.
Hurry up! Stop getting scared.
Am I supposed to pour gas
What's an
on
event?
something?
No. We have to find the right one first. That's
Oh.
what we're doing.
Oh.
One isn't it. This one isn't it. Okay. Okay. Put the cross on this one. Put the cross on this one. See if it glows. Press E on it. Oh.
Oh, E.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, there's
Did that
one.
glow?
Yep. 1. 1. Okay, let's see.
Stop laughing.
This isn't it. This isn't it. This isn't it. Next one. Next one.
Not glowing.
Oh. Okay, female. Do the other female.
That one.
I just want to pour gasoline.
I want to drink gas.
It's hunting. Someone stand on the circle. Someone stand in the circle.
If it tastes as
Stand in the
okay.
circle. It's hunting.
No, wait, don't go. Wait.
Well, you guys can both go. You can sit in it.
There's nothing here. There's nothing here. There's nothing here. Next one. Next one. Next female.
Not glowing.
That's a male. That's a male.
That's fine.
You're
Has
a
to be
male.
female. Has to be female.
I'm a thief.
This one. It's not glowing though.
You having fun?
Oh, then it's not that one. It has to glow.
Happy on
Did you
night?
check from the beginning, Soccer, or did you just randomly put it down?
I did not. I just
Bruh.
randomly put it down.
Actually, I was gonna ask you about that, but I was too nervous to say anything.
One,
Right here, right here.
two.
Put
Oh,
more
this one is
gasoline
glow?
on.
Okay.
We don't know yet. Hello, Amina. Is this our last game? So we can game after this one.
Yeah.
One.
I mean, that's the last female.
Oh shoot.
Unless it's this next
This
one
one's
next to it.
not matching either.
All right, this next one.
Ow.
Are you good?
Oh.
Hello,
my,
Sakura?
That one's not glowing.
Oh, hello.
I just
Hello.
saw
That
it
one's
glow.
gonna glow right there. Glow.
Sakura!
Shoot.
Oh.
No.
Sakura, it's glowing! Sakura, what do you mean it was glowing?
Oh,
Who had the gas?
I did.
Wait, you had the gas? We figured out
we
what
all
it
died.
was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
we
what we
all
ran out of
died.
time.
Happen. Yeah, he kills us all the time limit. was up.
Thanks, Sakura. Thanks,
we
I
did
was
Sakura.
Ready?
Yep. I was
should've had a
trying. It was
That
fine.
was
That's
the
what
last
people do.
one. There was no one else. That was the last female.
How about this? Next time we all play this game, we can redeem ourselves.
I mean,
From
that
our
was the
failure.
level 20 map anyway. So that one's the hard one.
Oh, that was the funeral home?
Yeah, that was the funeral home, which is you have to be
Oh.
level 20 to play it.
Oh, okay, okay.
But I mean, I'm the host, so that's why I can pick the maps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. We almost had it. I didn't know you had the
Oh my
you had the
God.
gas.
Yeah, I had a gas can.
Yeah, I didn't know it. I thought we could just press
I was
E
like-
on it.
I was like, ooh, what do we do with? What do I do with it?
I mean, that's all good. Now we know for next time. But I hope y'all
Yeah,
enjoyed.
Next time.
Yeah, I guess I won't refund the game.
I mean, it's already been more than 2 hours. Going for 3 hours.
Damn. Okay. True.
We
True.
need to
True.
do this again for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's other maps we didn't even get to try yet.
Yeah, like the lighthouse.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
This one has a lighthouse too. Oh, good.
There's no lighthouse. What?
Yeah.
That's Phasmo.
Oh wait. Oh, is it Phasmo?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind.
There's no lighthouse
Phasmo's the
here.
lighthouse. I like that one. I like that one.
I hated that one. That one sucks. Too
I
many
like it 'cause
stairs.
I can die. Yeah.
Oh. Alright, but thank you guys for joining. Let me know
Thank
next time you're
you.
free if you
For
wanna.
fighting me.
you want a
Happy
demon
you've
again?
been here.
Just
Nice
So
to
weird
meet
not be able to
you.
Thank you,
guys.
Sakura.
nice to meet you,
Nice to meet you too.
Sakura.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Bye, everybody.
Bye bye, everybody.
Ugh.
Sakura. Sakura. Hello? She's gone. I was gonna ask if she wanted to read someone.
Wow.
She even left a call. It's Jover.
How rude.
Did you want to raid someone?
Who, me?
Yes, you.
I already closed my stream. I don't know who's live right now. I've never
Can't believe
raided
you.
anyone before. I don't know what I'm doing.
We could have started. Actually, you can still raid even if you just went offline right now.
Oh, I can.
Yeah, just do slash raid. Do you have anybody
Where?
online?
That I know of? I don't.
Yeah,
Oh, Celeste is on.
I do see Celeste. Let's raid Celeste.
So it's how do you do it?
Slash raid, and then her
Mhm.
name. I'll DM it, so you don't have to. there you go.
Yay. Thank you, friend.
She's using the ghosty model too that I'm using. So
Oh
we're
no, I
gonna
can't see
raid-
I can't see your model, but I bet it's cute.
You'll see when you go to Celeste's thing. We have the exact same one except I'm the mouse one. But
So I just
thank you.
posted in my Twitch chat.
So you just do this. I sent it in chat. That's what the command. And then let's do get ratted. She's
Unrecognized command. Whoops.
I sent you the command on the thing.
Okay.
Oh, nice. It's her. Thank you. That's the raid message. Thank you guys for joining. I'll see you guys in 3 hours for another stream. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good night.